Part 6. Peach Youth. Author, Su Kifeng. Chapter 51. When they arrived at Wang Wei's house together, Shen Bingqian sat on the sofa. She seemed calm and not as angry as she imagined. If it wasn't for Lin Feng taking me as Cao Shuiying, who had a relationship with him before, he wouldn't touch me. Maybe even if I took off my clothes to seduce him, he wouldn't touch me. Maybe, but do you know why he doesn't touch you? I know, he thinks I'm an unreliable girl, he doesn't want to entangle with me anymore. He may also mind that I used to have a better life with Zhao Liqiang, but I want to pursue the life I like. It's not wrong. Maybe you all think I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. Now that Lin Feng got my body, I don't regret it. Maybe I should really give it to him, because I love him the most, but I still have to leave him. Shen Bingqian's words were a bit incoherent, but Wang Wei still understood it, and smiled relievedly. I did play a bit of a terrible prank. If it wasn't for me, you and Lin Feng wouldn't have done it like this. If you really want to hit me, then do it. I never thought of doing anything to you. I'm leaving. Shen Bingqian took her luggage and was about to leave. You want to leave Beijing? Since I'm here, I won't leave. I will find a job and continue to find my own happiness. Then you can stay at my house first. No, I will find a house by myself. Are you still friends in the future? Wang Wei asked. Shen Bingqian didn't say anything, just smiled and walked out with her luggage. She planned to live in a hotel first, and then rent a one-bedroom apartment. With her education and work experience, she could find a suitable job in Beijing. Not difficult. Shen Bingqian left, and Lin Feng's partition room was quiet for a while, but Lin Feng was not in the mood to code at this time, so he lit a cigarette and started smoking. At this time, he also thought about it. I am afraid that Bai Shan will not come in the future. Maybe he will see Bai Shan on the road or in the mall in the future, but Bai Shan will not come back to his partition room easily. But there is still a possibility that Bai Shan will come and give him the good tobacco and wine brought from the rich man's house, because Bai Shan is a very magical woman. Lin Feng didn't know if Bai Shan, a somewhat miraculous woman, loved him very much, but he didn't love Bai Shan at all. Shen Bingqian and Bai Shan are both women who love sugar daddy, but their attitudes are different. Shen Bingqian really wanted to marry a rich man, but she never thought of being a lover to a rich man. Bai Shan doesn't necessarily want to marry a rich man, but she likes to get money from the rich. Lin Feng received a call from the beautiful landlord, Shang Yunjuan, and Shang Yunjuan's tone was urgent. Lin Feng, hurry up and hide, my sister is going to find someone to beat you. There is nothing to hide, she wants to find someone to beat me, then bring someone with me, Lin Feng said. She is going to find someone to beat you from the Beijing Jinwu Center. There are many kung fu masters there. You should hide. You really are. How can you talk nonsense at Beijing Normal University? A man saw the beautiful teacher Shang Yuna's butt, which made her so shameless. I wanted to persuade her, but I couldn't persuade her. She had to find someone to send you to the hospital. Sister Shang, thank you for reminding me. It's nothing. Lin Feng hung up the phone and turned on the computer after a while. Lin Feng had heard of the Beijing Jinwu Center, which was very famous, but he didn't know much about it and had never been there before, but he didn't believe that there were many kung fu masters there. Lin Feng is a person who knows kung fu. The dragon and snake legs handed down from his grandfather's generation are very powerful kung fu, and their actual combat ability is very strong. Lin Feng's grandfather is a top kung fu master, Lin Feng's father is a top kung fu master, and Lin Feng is also a top kung fu master. Kung fu master. When Lin Feng was in the second grade of elementary school, his father began to teach him dragon and snake legs. By the time he graduated from junior high school, Lin Feng was already a first-class master, and by the time he graduated from high school, Lin Feng was already a top master. Lin Feng is not a combative person. Although he is very skilled, if it is not for others to provoke him, he will generally not find fault and fight. People who tried to clean up him before, whether it is a person or a group of people, are afraid of being beaten by him. Lin Feng doesn't know how many people he can beat if he gets angry and uses his skills to the fullest. Top-level masters, first-class masters, and second-rate masters can all be called masters. The key depends on who their opponents are. Lin Feng does not believe that the so-called masters of Beijing Jinwu Center can be so powerful. Lin Feng was a little interested in how Shang Yuna knew the people at Jinwu Center. Could it be that there are people there who covet her beauty? It's normal for Shang Yuna to want someone to beat him up. After all, what he said at Beijing Normal University aroused the wet reverie of many people. More than an hour later, someone knocked on the door, and Lin Feng felt that it was Shang Yuna who came with people from the Beijing Jinwu Center, and she didn't know what kind of goods she was looking for. I thought that Shang Yuna would ask him out after she found someone, but she didn't expect to find the partition room directly. It seemed that Shang Yuna was extremely angry. Lin Feng opened the door and saw 3 people behind Shang Yuna. He smiled and said, "Sister Yuna, you are my second landlord anyway. It seems a bit wrong for you to bring people to trouble the tenant like this." The fight broke out and destroyed the things in the partition room. "Please don't make me lose money. I can only blame you, the tenant, for being so rude. You have affected my reputation. If I don't give you some color, you won't know how good I am." Shang Yuna and those 3 people walked in. Among the 3 people, they were about 180 in height and about Lin Feng's. The handsome and burly man was Li Xingguo, the son of Li Yang, the owner of Jinwu Center. The other 2 were one is a taekwondo coach and one is a karate coach. As a relatively large-scale martial arts center in Beijing, Jinwu Center not only trains taekwondo and karate, but also sanda and muay thai. Among them, there are dozens of trainers and martial artists. Shang Yuna found Li Xingguo and asked him to help find someone to clean up Lin Feng. Li Xingguo felt that it was enough for Coach Huang, who has a black belt in taekwondo, and Coach Lu, a karate master. People. Li Xingguo likes Shang Yuna very much. He has been pursuing her for a while, but there is still no result. He wants to show up in front of Shang Yuna too much. Since he brings a master, he will definitely stand out for Shang Yuna. Say. I thought it was someone with a mouthful of farts, but it turns out that you are such an unprofessional thing. Look at your appearance, you need to beat him. Li Xingguo sneered and stepped aside. Shang Yuna also stepped aside. Coach Huang lifted his leg and kicked Lin Feng's chest. He thought that with his sharp leg skills with his black belt in taekwondo, Lin Feng was released with one kick, but Lin Feng avoided it. His kick, a slamming punch, slammed into his face. Coach Huang is not a vegetarian, so he avoided Lin Feng's punch, but he failed to avoid Lin Feng's second and third punches. He only heard 2 bangs, and Lin Feng's fist hit Coach Huang's face twice in a row. Superior. In the blood splashing, Coach Huang screamed. The moment Lin Feng stepped back, he hit Coach Huang's chest with a flying kick. Coach Huang Fei fell out, hit the wall and bounced to the ground, standing for a while. Can't get up. Just when Coach Huang hit it, the gypsum board wall shook. Lin Feng was afraid that the wall would collapse, so he didn't dare to use too much force, but the shaking just now was still very violent, which shocked Lin Feng's heart. If the plasterboard really collapsed, then his room would be connected to another room. Both Shang Yuna and Li Xingguo were surprised. They didn't expect that the black belt Coach Huang in Taekwondo would not be Lin Feng's opponent. It seems that Lin Feng is a real kung fu, and he is a very powerful real kung fu. The dragon and snake legs also pay attention to the cooperation of boxing, so Lin Feng not only has strong legs, but also the power of his double fists. In the end, it depends on the actual situation. Lin Feng didn't know that the person he was fighting with was a black belt in Taekwondo. If he knew, he would feel that this black belt was very watery, but the fact is that some black belts in Taekwondo are very good at fighting, and can even compete with Sanda masters. Fighting against ordinary people is even more relaxed and gorgeous, but some black belts in Taekwondo go to the street and fight people, and maybe even 3 or 5 ordinary people can't deal with it. If Lin Feng's kung fu was to deal with ordinary people who had no kung fu at all, if he was really angry at the time, it would be a matter of an instant to knock down 5 or 6 ordinary people. A few sweeps and a few whips would solve the problem. A high kick kicked on a person's head, and that person's life could be killed, but Lin Feng would not usually do such a stupid thing. The reason why Coach Lu didn't go with Coach Huang just now was because he was afraid of losing face. I didn't expect Coach Huang to make Lin Feng be like that before he made a lot of shots. If he knew that Lin Feng's kung fu was so powerful, he would have gone with him just now. Now that Coach Huang has fallen to the ground and has no fighting ability, he has lost face. Coach Lu leaned over, and Lin Feng could feel that this person was more powerful than the one who practiced Taekwondo just now. Lin Feng said, "Let me ask you, if I beat you up, will you sue me?" Coach Lu was stunned. After what happened to Coach Huang, he didn't dare to despise Lin Feng. He quickly looked at Li Xingguo. Li Xingguo was someone who had seen the scene. He came here to give Shang Yuna a head start. If you lose face, you will be less likely to catch up with Shang Yuna in the future. Lin Feng, do you think you can defeat Coach Huang and Coach Lu? It is not certain who will be disabled. Li Xingguo looked at Coach Lu again. Destroy him. Coach Lu is also good at leg work. He and Lin Feng distanced themselves. The area of the partition room is too small, and it can't be opened. It is really time to ask Lin Feng out to fight. What Lin Feng thought of was a quick solution. If the fight takes too long, it may destroy the things in the partition room. If the plasterboard is knocked down, he and the neighbor's house will be connected together, which is very troublesome to repair. Lin Feng shrugged, his eyes became blurred, seeing Coach Lu kicking him with his legs. Lin Feng's legs also lifted at the same time. Coach Liu's legs are very sharp and powerful, and Lin Feng's legs are also very sharp, and his strength will only be greater than that of Coach Lu. With a bang, Lin Feng's and Coach Liu's legs collided. Before Coach Liu's raised leg could be put down, Lin Feng slapped it with another whip. The punch came. At such a close distance, Lin Feng avoided the fist that was slammed towards his face, and punched out with 2 punches, hitting Coach Liu's nose and chin respectively. Coach Liu's nose bone was broken, he stepped back with a muffled cry, and hot blood flowed out. Coach Lu didn't admit defeat, and kicked Lin Feng with a few more kicks. Lin Feng avoided it lightly. At the same time, Lin Feng was trying his best to control the scope of the fight, not wanting to destroy the things in the partition room. When Coach Lu leaned towards the gypsum board wall, Lin Feng even pulled him back. Coach Lu took the opportunity to lift his knee and push it towards Lin Feng's stomach, but Lin Feng slapped it and relieved his knee. Another elbow hit him in the chest. Peach Youth. Author, Sci-fi. Chapter 52. After Coach Liu's chest was hit by Lin Feng's left elbow, he let out a muffled cry and began to look at Lin Feng with panicked eyes. Lin Feng slapped Coach Liu's face with a series of slaps. Coach Liu, who had broken the bridge of his nose, had blood on his face. After 7 or 8 slaps, the blood even splashed on the faces of Lin Feng and Li Xingguo, even Shang Yuna's. There was blood all over the t-shirt. Coach Lu had already made Lin Feng feel dizzy. When Lin Feng kicked his waist again with a whip, he fell to the ground. The intense pain caused him to scream again and again, panting quickly and in a state of embarrassment. Lin Feng rushed forward again, slammed his foot on the head of Coach Lu, who fell to the ground, and looked at Li Xingguo coldly. If I continue to exert force, his brain will pop out. If he dies, I am self-defense or at best an over-defense, but your trouble is not small. I may be locked up, maybe you are related, but it is difficult for you to get rid of it. Li Xingguo did not react immediately, and continued to look at Lin Feng with sharp eyes. Shang Yuna was in a hurry, she was almost scared to death. If she really killed someone, it would be great. Lin Feng, don't be impulsive, I was wrong, please, don't kill him, really don't. Lin Feng, since you have emphasized justifiable defense and excessive defense, it means that you are very afraid of causing trouble, and your kung fu is okay. This time I admit it. A week later, we will have a fight in the ring of Jinwu Center. How's it going? Li Xingguo finally spoke. He didn't seem to panic at all, and didn't frighten Lin Feng's harsh words just now. What if I don't fight you? I will continue to trouble you until you leave Beijing, Li Xingguo said. Well, I'll fight you. Lin Feng thought to himself, Li Xingguo, maybe you are really a fierce person, but I will not let you drive me out of Beijing easily. I like the city of Beijing very much, and I don't want to leave at all. I will kill you. I have a habit of betting against people in the ring. I don't think you are a rich man. Tell me, how much do we bet? Li Xingguo laughed. It turned out to be about the stakes. This made Lin Feng think of the black boxing he had learned about on the internet, but he also knew that even if he and Li Xingguo stood in the ring, they did not belong to the category of black boxing. Lin Feng is not a good gambler. He used to play Do landlord Jia Jinhua and Mahjong, but he played very small, winning and losing usually only a few dozen yuan. Just 3 or 200. Lin Feng didn't want Li Xingguo to look down on him, but he had to combine his own reality. He felt that he had an 80% chance of winning against Li Xingguo, but he also had the possibility of losing. The deposit is only over 10,000. If he said to bet 10,000 yuan, I'm afraid Li Xingguo would laugh at him. Lin Feng didn't know where the courage came from, but he said, betting 50,000 yuan. Shang Yuna was surprised that Lin Feng, a man with little money, actually wanted to bet 50,000 yuan with Li Xingguo. But Li Xingguo still laughed. I thought you had to bet at least 100,000 with me, and it would be interesting to have at least 6 figures. It seems that you are really poor. I'm very poor. It's nothing to tell you. My savings is only over 10,000 yuan. If I really lose to you, I can't even get 50,000 yuan. You mean, you can definitely beat me? 80% of you can win, Lin Feng said. It seems that you are very confident. It doesn't matter if you don't have 50,000 yuan. If you win, I will give you 50,000 yuan. If you lose, let's see how I deal with you. Li Xingguo took his defeated soldiers and walked out with Shang Yuna. Lin Feng began to clean up the blood on the ground. He also had blood on his body, but it was the blood of Coach Huang and Coach Lu. Li Xingguo came here in a Mercedes-Benz off-road vehicle. Seeing that he was about to get in the car, Shang Yuna said anxiously, Li Xiao, I think you should not fight Lin Feng. He is just a tenant, you. Yuna, I don't like to hear you call me Xiao Li, I prefer you to call me Xingguo, and you asked me to find someone to clean up Lin Feng, and now my person asked him to beat him, I must save face return. Then don't take bets, he has no money. You seem to care about him, do you fall in love with him? I can remind you that if you get along with such a poor boy, your life will be very bleak. You grew up in Beijing. You know the prosperity of the city very well, and if you don't have money in your hands, the prosperity of the city has nothing to do with you. Yun Na, don't be angry if I say this, because I love you very much, so I care about you very much. Li Xingguo drove away. Shang Yuna was stunned for a while, and then returned to the two-bedroom where she and Shang Yunjuan lived together. Sitting on the sofa, Shang Yuna burst into tears. She didn't expect Lin Feng's kung fu to be so powerful. Not only was it easy to fight thieves, but it was also easy to clean up the coaches at the Jinwu Center. Although Lin Feng helped her twice before, she didn't have a good impression of Lin Feng, and even felt that Lin Feng was very unpopular. This time Lin Feng was talking nonsense at Beijing Normal University, and even said that he had seen her ass, which made her lose face. She felt even more that Lin Feng was a hateful guy. Shang Yuna is a little arrogant, but she is not a scorpion-hearted person. She just wanted to teach Lin Feng a lesson, and did not intend to cause too much trouble to Lin Feng. Now that Li Xingguo is angry, I am afraid that Lin Feng's trouble will be big. Li Xingguo's kung fu is higher than that of any coach in the Jinwu Center. Many people in Beijing know that Li Xingguo is a very strong kung fu man. He even beaten American martial arts masters to the ground twice before. Maybe Lin Feng doesn't will be Li Xingguo's opponent. The bet is 50,000 yuan. If Lin Feng loses, where will he get so much money? But the current situation is irreversible. In anxiety, Shang Yuna called Shang Yunjuan back. Shang Yunjuan was making a banner in her graphic production center, but she could only come back. Her face was very ugly, and she said coldly, "Yuna, you hate Lin Feng so much. He doesn't care much for you. That kid spread rumors at Normal University that he saw my butt, and now many students are talking about me. Isn't he hateful? But he hasn't seen you after all, and those students won't talk about it all the time. Maybe no one will talk about it after a while. Sister, it's not like you don't know, your sister and I are the most beautiful female teacher in Normal University. If I do a little bit, I may become the focus of everyone. This time, they will chat for a long time, maybe a couple of times. It will be mentioned in a year's time. It's already like this. You can't force Lin Feng to death, right? What was the stake you said just now? 50,000 yuan. What if Lin Feng loses? I do not know either. If Lin Feng loses, I will give him 30,000 yuan. Do you have any opinion? Shang Yunjuan asked. Sister, aren't you being kind to Lin Feng? Don't you just want to be with him? It's not that you are being so kind to him. Don't worry about why I'm so good to Lin Feng, your sister. I just want to be good to him. In short, if he loses, I will give him 30,000 yuan, Shang Yunjuan said. Also, if Lin Feng is seriously injured, I won't forgive you lightly. Don't think you are my sister, I won't turn against you. Sister, are you crazy about that? Lin Feng is really your baby, but he hasn't been with you yet. Maybe he has no interest in you at all. You're mad at me, aren't you? Shang Yunjuan's face turned pale, and Shang Yuna didn't want to continue arguing with her, so she snorted and went back to her bedroom. Shang Yuna first sat on the sofa for a while, then she quickly took off her clothes, and even took off her breast photos, revealing her towering breasts. She was graceful and smooth, wearing only a pair of trousers, and lay on the bed. The wet place was wet. The silhouette is hot. Shang Yunjuan quickly walked into Shang Yuna's bedroom. Shang Yuna sat up immediately, her towering chest trembled, and said softly, "Sister, I have come to the bedroom, you still follow me and fight with me. I'm not in the mood to quarrel with you, I just want to ask about Li Xingguo's situation. Li Xingguo's parents divorced many years ago, and now his mother is in Hong Kong, living with a wealthy businessman over there. He and his father run the Jinwu Center together. His father used to do building materials business, and now he should have there are tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions. Li Xingguo loves you very much. He does love me very much now, but what? Maybe he will stop loving you soon, right?" Shang Yunjuan said dismissively. "Sister, listen to your tone, it's like your sister and I are easy to be fooled. The reason why I haven't agreed to Li Xingguo to be his girlfriend is because he already had a dozen or so girlfriends before. The relationship will not exceed half a year, and the shortest is only 1 day." Shang Yunjuan laughed helplessly. "Look who you are dating. It's called dating after only 1 day of dating, and it's not a night of kissing and noble. I think this Li Shay, I just want to play with you. My sister doesn't object to you catching a golden tortoise in law, but my sister is very opposed to you letting men play casually." "Sister!" Shang Yuna shouted, very hard. Her plump jumped again, but her tone quickly eased a little. Don't worry, I won't let men play with me easily, so I'm here. I haven't agreed to be Li Xingguo's girlfriend now. You'd better remember what you said to me just now. Shang Yunjuan looked at Shang Yuna helplessly and walked out. At night, with the bet with Li Xingguo, Lin Feng was in a very special mood, and he didn't know whether he was excited or disappointed. After all, he had never fought on the ring with anyone before, and the stake was 50,000 yuan. If he wins, maybe Li Xingguo will continue to trouble him. This kind of dandy young master is usually difficult to deal with. Lin Feng just wants to write his book well, but he still has trouble. After finally calming down, Lin Feng started coding. By midnight, he had written more than 6,000 words, but he was still a little empty because he wrote too little today. The phone rang. It was his beautiful landlord. Lin Feng picked it up and said with a smile, "Sister Shang, do you want to comfort me? Since it's already like this, I can only take a step by step. That Li Xingguo is very good, but I have no background. I won't be afraid of him. Come to my house. Let me go to another family. Your sister should be here." "I won't go," Lin Feng said. "She's here, but that's fine. I don't sleep in the same bedroom with her. Come here, I have something very important to tell you." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Peach Youth. Author, Su Kifeng. Chapter 53. The last time Shang Yunjuan asked him to go home, she said she had a secret to tell him, but that time Shang Yunjuan didn't tell him any secrets, she just got him drunk and wanted to do that with him. But it turned out that Lin Feng didn't do that with Monk Yunjuan. He returned to the partition room drunkenly and took his ex-girlfriend Shen Bingqian as Cao Shuiying. Thinking of this, Lin Feng was very angry. If it wasn't for being drunk and seeing the wrong person, Lin Feng would not have given her a few shots after breaking up with Shen Bingqian for more than 2 years, and even got Shen Bingqian's first daughter. Lin Feng never dreamed before that Shen Bingqian had never done that with Zhao Liqiang, but he got the first daughter, and he was both happy and depressed. Shen Bingqian is charming and graceful, and she is an authentic and famous weapon. It made him feel extremely comfortable. Unfortunately, it is impossible for him to let Shen Bingqian be his girlfriend, and Shen Bingqian will not do it after knowing his actual situation. His girlfriend. Lin Feng felt that Shang Yunjuan might have something very important to tell him this time, perhaps it was about the conflict between him and Li Xingguo. Now the conflict between Lin Feng and Shang Yuna has been transferred to the conflict between him and Li Xingguo. He was beaten by 2 so-called masters, and I'm afraid he won't give up until he regains his face. Lin Feng agreed to Shang Yunjuan to go there. He left the partition room, and soon walked to the street and got into a taxi. Shang Yunjuan went to the living room and sat on the sofa with an incomprehensible smile on her lips. Shang Yuna walked out wearing a nightgown. Seeing the smile on Shang Yunjuan's mouth, she said disdainfully, "Sister, what are you thinking about? Wait for Lin Feng to come. It seems that you really treat Lin Feng as a treasure. It's scary for a woman who has been lonely for many years to go crazy," Shang Yuna said. "Yuna, you can laugh at elder sister, but elder sister just wants to be nice to Lin Feng, so I want to remind you, since you said that Li Xingguo is a man who changes his girlfriend as easily as changing clothes, then don't covet him. Qian, but he has been in a relationship, so as not to take the whole person on board." "Sister, don't worry, I'm not that stupid. I'm not like you. For a Lin Feng, I'm afraid I have to pay for my body and money." Shang Yuna snorted coldly and went back to her bedroom. Shang Yunjuan was crazy last time. At that time, her body was very wet, and she even felt that kind of wetness herself. She thought she would succeed and enjoy the pleasure that Lin Feng brought her, but Lin Feng still left. After Lin Feng left, Shang Yunjuan immediately changed into a new pair of trousers, because the original pair was too wet to wear, as if it had rained on her part. Lin Feng has arrived. He saw Shang Yunjuan in loose clothes. She looked plump and hot, with a charming smile on her charming face. Maybe Shang Yunjuan just wanted to show a very ordinary smile to Lin Feng, so as not to scare Lin Feng, but Shang Yunjuan's smile was really intoxicating, and this intoxication was directly proportional to the wetness of her body. Sometimes, a woman can't find out her own windburn, but the people next to her can, but those women who regard windburn as a kind of temperament should be excluded. If a woman regards windburning as her temperament, whether it is for professional reasons or her own hobby, she will compete for a few seconds to cultivate windburning, so that this windburning will be like the tears of an actor, as soon as she says it. You laugh, but I cry, you cry, but I laugh. This is a kind of Taoism that ordinary people do not have, and it is a good thing that can be exchanged for money. If he was in a good mood, Lin Feng would also smile at Shang Yunjuan, but he was in a very bad mood right now, and he couldn't laugh if he wanted to. He sat on the sofa and said doubtfully, "Sister Shang, you have to tell me. You can't say anything important on the phone, you have to ask me to come here. Come to my bedroom. It's done here. Come here." The moment Shang Yunjuan stood up, she grabbed Lin Feng's arm. Lin Feng thought to himself, "The beautiful landlord, you are too hot. It seems that you really want to do that with me too much. In the past, I always took into account what Shang Yuna thought of me. Now Shang Yuna makes me more and more unhappy. Now, I don't want to take into account her opinion anymore, I'll you." Lin Feng and Shang Yunjuan went to the bedroom together, and immediately smelled a very special aroma. They sat on the sofa beside the bed together. Shang Yunjuan leaned on Lin Feng's shoulder. "If you lose to Li Xingguo, then the 50,000 in the bet of 30,000 yuan, I will pay 30,000 yuan for you, although your sister Shang is not rich, but there are still 30,000 yuan, you can prepare 20,000 yuan. Sister Shang, thank you for your kindness. You lowered my rent to 500 yuan. I am already very grateful to you. If I lose to Li Xingguo, I will give him 50,000 yuan myself." Lin Feng thought, "I have made it very clear to Li Xingguo, even if I lose, I will not give him 50,000 yuan. At that time, he will repair me as he wants. If I am extremely depressed, no, I ruled out that I might kill him. I didn't want to cause trouble, but it really pushed me to the extreme. I dared to kill. Lin Feng, listen to Sister Shang. At that time, I will give you the money and you will take it. Sister Shang, I know what you want most, so come on." Lin Feng pressed Shang Yunjuan onto the sofa, chatted about her upper body clothes, and kissed her belly. Shang Yunjuan hugged Lin Feng's head and gasped. She was obviously impulsive. Lin Feng soon began to kiss Shang Yunjuan's chest. Shang Yunjuan made a very blurred cry. Lin Feng thought, "The beautiful landlord, your cry is really nice." Lin Feng took off Shang Yunjuan's loose trousers, tore off her trousers, and threw them on the ground. After plucking them, they rushed into her body. Only then did Lin Feng discover that Shang Yunjuan, a woman who had a failed marriage, was a very famous woman. Changing postures for dozens of minutes, Lin Feng brought 3 pleasures to Shang Yunjuan. She hadn't been this happy in many years. Shang Yunjuan took a long breath and recalled it for a long time. She felt that Lin Feng was much stronger than her ex-husband. Lin Feng and Shang Yunjuan would not lie on the ground all the time. The two of them quickly rolled onto the bed. Lin Feng kissed Shang Yunjuan's body, and Shang Yunjuan was also kissing Lin Feng's body. "Lin Feng, did you think I was a very bad woman just now? Sister Shang, you are not bad at all, you are a very good woman. It seems that I made you comfortable just now. I'm very comfortable. Do you like doing it with me?" Shang Yunjuan asked. "Like? Okay, you can find me if you want to do it in the future. If I want to do it, I will find you too," Shang Yunjuan said. Lin Feng thought to himself, it seems that my tenant is finally going to maintain a life without shame and shame with your beautiful landlord. You are very lonely, clap clap. I was very impulsive, clap clap clap. Should or shouldn't, bang bang bang. Lin Feng fell asleep with her arms around Shang Yunjuan's plump body, but Shang Yunjuan had never been casual, she had been looking forward to the second time. Shang Yuna couldn't fall asleep either. Although she didn't hear the warm voices from her sister and Lin Feng just now, she also knew that Lin Feng gave her sister, and her sister was willing to let Lin Feng on. Shang Yunjuan really wanted Lin Feng to rush into her body again, but seeing that Lin Feng was sleeping soundly, she did not wake him up to do that, nor did she take the initiative to ride on Lin Feng's body and force Lin Feng to rush into her body. It wasn't until it was almost dawn that Lin Feng rolled over and pressed onto Shang Yunjuan's body again, carrying her slender legs and moving. The heavy wooden door in the bedroom is relatively soundproof, but the noise made by Lin Feng and Shang Yunjuan was too loud. Shang Yuna, who woke up early, heard the passionate voice and the shouting of her sister. Shang Yuna's heart beat wildly, and even her breathing became uneven. She complained in her heart, "Lin Feng, you bastard, you don't want to kill my sister, do you use less strength, what?" When Shang Yunjuan was making breakfast, Lin Feng and Shang Yuna were both sitting on the sofa in the living room. Lin Feng had been smoking and did not look at Shang Yuna's face. "Lin Feng, your kid finally succeeded. What did I do? You and my sister had that kind of thing." "That's because your sister succeeded, not me," Lin Feng said. "You mean, my sister is cheap?" "No, your sister is a very good woman. Even if I have that kind of thing with her, I have a good impression of her." Lin Feng thought, "Your sister is a woman who has been lonely for many years. She has never messed with many men before, so it is not easy. Since you and my sister have already done that, it is estimated that you will do it often in the future. Be gentle with her and don't be too rude." "You thought I would be rude," Lin Feng said. Shang Yuna didn't continue to talk about this issue, because her face was all red. She thought, "Anyway, I heard your voices and thought you were trying too hard. This conflict, I have something wrong, I shouldn't find someone to beat you, and you have something wrong, you shouldn't talk nonsense at the school where I work. I'm afraid some people will think that I'm really being watched by a man in the future. To the S. When you have a boyfriend or get married in the future, you will not only show men your buttocks, but also your whole body, and you will separate your legs for men," Lin Feng said. Shang Yuna made Lin Feng angry again. She raised her hand and hit Lin Feng's arm. Lin Feng grabbed Shang Yuna's hand and pinched her full chest. "Oh ah!" Shang Yuna called out. Shang Yunjuan came out of the kitchen immediately. "Lin Feng, you kid, don't bully my sister." "I didn't bully her, she was attacking me." "Yuna, don't provoke Lin Feng all the time in the future." "Sister, I know." Shang Yuna picked up her bag and was about to go out. Shang Yunjuan shouted, "If you don't eat breakfast." Shang Yuna pretended she didn't hear anything and walked out quickly. Shang Yunjuan walked over to Lin Feng. At this time, her steps were very elegant, not wild at all. She sat beside Lin Feng and said with a smile, "Look, Sister Shang has put you to sleep, can you? I can't beat my sister anymore. You don't have to keep reminding me of this. I know that in your heart, I'm not worthy of your sister at all, but I never thought about what to do to your sister." Lin Feng thought, "Maybe you treat me as a friend, maybe you especially like that thing of mine, but you still think I'm a very poor boy." After having breakfast together, Lin Feng left. Shang Yunjuan sat on the sofa in the living room. She was very happy because she felt comfortable last night. Back in the partition room, Lin Feng lay down on the bed, lit a cigarette and started smoking. The beautiful landlord's body was much cooler than he imagined. Since it has already happened twice, Lin Feng doesn't mind doing it 20 or 2 times with Shang Yunjuan. Hundreds of times, since Shang Yunjuan was willing to let him go, he didn't force her to go, so it's not for nothing. Maybe Shang Yuna is very depressed, so let her be alone. Gradually, Lin Feng fell asleep. When he woke up, it was almost time for lunch. Lin Feng found that his life was a bit monotonous, but he was not a rich man. His social circle was very small, and monotony was normal. He will slowly enrich his life. No matter what the situation is, you can't stop fighting. Thinking of this, Lin Feng really wanted to code, but he had to eat lunch first. Lin Feng didn't want to go out. He still had 5 bags of spicy instant noodles at home. He planned to go to the kitchen to cook it. Delicious with boiling water. Peach Youth. Author, Sci-fi. Chapter 54. When he walked out of the partition room, Lin Feng could smell the aroma from the kitchen. It was estimated that his new neighbor Zhou Qingfang was cooking. She was the woman who was a little pretty, with a good figure and charm. This woman has a very special temperament, and Lin Feng can even feel melancholy from her. Maybe there was something that made her depressed, maybe she took great pains to cultivate the melancholy into a kind of temperament, which made men guess that she was an unusual woman. Lin Feng had met a type of woman before, and he was very happy, but he wanted to make himself look very melancholy. The most obvious one was his counselor in his freshman year. The woman who just turned 30 has a rich husband who loves her and a lovely 2-year-old son, but she looks very melancholy every day. Lin Feng had guessed whether she was depressed because she was dissatisfied with her aspect, but Lin Feng found out later that it was not the case, because he overheard the warm voices of the counselor and her husband in the office, very fierce, that man was very she is willing to work her, and it is very durable. Since it lasts, there is no problem for the counselor to get pleasure. After all, no woman can feel nothing after rubbing her body for a long time. So the counselor's depression was deliberately cultivated to make people feel that she is in harmony with her. Other women are different. When Lin Feng became a sophomore, that woman stopped being his counselor, and went to the student office to work as an administrator. She did not meet as often as before, but when Lin Feng was sitting in the dormitory and playing on the computer, she might have thought of that woman. With a melancholy appearance, I really want to use that thing to teach her a lesson, so that she should not be so melancholy if she has something to do, otherwise I will be sorry for the sun's light. Lin Feng was a little embarrassed to go to the kitchen. Zhou Qingfang was cooking. He used to make noodles. He can't stop cooking instant noodles just because the female neighbor is cooking. Otherwise, he is hypocritical. Lin Feng hopes that he will be honest in 90% of his life, so he does not want to be hypocritical at this time. He walked over with instant noodles and looked very brave, as if he was holding it's not instant noodles but a dynamite bag. When he was about to get to the kitchen, he even said in his heart, "Beautiful neighbor, you have to be careful, I want instant noodles." When he got to the kitchen, although he didn't cook often, he also had a few simple kitchen utensils, including pots, shovels and spoons. "You cook noodles?" Zhou Qingfang, who was wearing loose pajamas, smiled. "I don't want to go out to eat. Cook some instant noodles. This kind of thing is very nutritious. I don't always eat instant noodles, but only once in a while." Lin Feng also knows that instant noodles are not nutritious, but he has no prejudice against instant noodles. If any place is affected by the disaster, the food will be dropped by the air, and it must be instant noodles. The drop of fried vegetables and eggs will make the disaster victims die. "Why don't you have lunch with me? Look, I made 3 dishes, 1 for 1 and 2 for 2. Zhou Qingfang was very enthusiastic. "Forget it, Sister Zhou, I'll just cook instant noodles," Lin Feng said with a smile. Zhou Qingfang did not expect that Lin Feng would call her Sister Zhou, which made her very happy, and smiled. "Don't be embarrassed, Sister Zhou, I am a very warm person." Lin Feng thought to himself, "You are quite bold and your face is pretty. Although you are not stunning, you can still be counted in the ranks of beauties." Maybe because you are a married woman, you have a very special charm and intelligence about you. Nice. And you're kind of melancholy, no matter how you look at it, it's a bit up, can you tell me? Why are you so depressed? Sister Joe, I'm really embarrassed. Actually, I know that you didn't come here with instant noodles to take advantage of the meal, and you are not the one to take advantage of the meal. It's what Sister Joe is willing to invite you to eat. It's just a meal, don't mind. Zhou Qingfang has said it to the point that if he still doesn't eat it, it will be a shame. Not only will it not leave a good impression on Zhou Qingfang, it will also make her very unhappy. Zhou Qingfang's cooking skills are naturally not as high as Cao Shuiying, who runs a restaurant at home, but Lin Feng has already smelled the aroma of the food, and it feels very good. Lin Feng took the instant noodles that he didn't have time to put in the pot, and went to her partition room with Zhou Qingfang. There were 2 pillows and a very large quilt on the bed, which proved that there were 2 people sleeping on the bed, but Zhou Qingfang's husband was on a business trip, so she was the only one who slept alone, but it was not ruled out that she might find another man to sleep over. Zhou Qingfang doesn't look like a woman who loves cheating, but whether a woman will cheat is hard to tell with her eyes. Not to die. Some women wear short skirts for many years but never let anyone other than her husband see her fungus. Some women also wear trousers in summer, but her fungus may often be exposed to people other than her husband. Lin Feng didn't know much about Zhou Qingfang, and she didn't know what kind of woman she was. All she knew was that Zhou Qingfang and her husband had made little noise, and her husband's abilities would not be much stronger. Maybe that's why she's melancholy. There is also a possibility that Zhou Qingfang and her husband like to do it in a very gentle way. If they are a little violent, they will both feel embarrassed. Even when Zhou Qingfang is happy, they will not make outrageous sounds. Her breathing could be suppressed. Lin Feng took a mouthful of shredded potatoes with sharp peppers and put it in his mouth, and said with a smile, "The dishes you made are delicious." Then eat more. Zhou Qingfang didn't look shy, as if she and Lin Feng were already well acquainted. "What do you do?" Lin Feng asked. "The company goes to work." "It looks like you haven't gone to work these 2 days." "I haven't taken my annual leave yet. I took advantage of the fact that I was not feeling well these few days." Zheng Qi went on a business trip, and it was boring to be alone, Zhou Qingfang said. Only then did Lin Feng know that Zhou Qingfang's husband was called Zheng Qi, and smiled. "It seems that your husband travels a lot on business. 3 or 4 times a year, each time for more than a month. That would be equivalent to traveling for half of the year." Lin Feng thought. "I found that you are more likely to cheat." "Yeah, that's how their company is. The employees who run the business are often on business trips and run around in major cities, but the treatment is okay," Zhou Qingfang said. Lin Feng didn't ask about the income of Zhou Qingfang and his wife. He generally doesn't like to ask about it. It doesn't matter if others earn more or less. "What do you do?" "Write a web novel." "No way, you are an online author." Zhou Qingfang was very excited. "I love to read online novels, maybe I have read the books you wrote." Lin Feng said the title of an urban novel he was writing, and Zhou Qingfang suddenly screamed. "No way, you wrote this book and posted it on xxnovel.com. You saw it?" "Not only did I read it, but I also subscribed to the original version." "What a coincidence, you are a very talented person," Zhou Qingfang said. Unexpectedly, Feng Yun's female neighbor is his loyal reader. Lin Feng wrote about buyout, but he still likes the genuine subscription of readers. If his book is subscribed well, it is more likely to raise the price. In a sense, Zhou Qingfang is a good book. A woman who has contributed to him a lot of support. "It is necessary," Zhou Qingfang said. "Your girlfriend is gone." "I don't have a girlfriend." "Oh, that very beautiful girl who came a few days ago is not your girlfriend." "She's my ex-girlfriend." "I guessed it." "She saw that you are very talented now, so she wants to come back to you, But you don't want her anymore, Zhou Qingfang asked. Stop talking about her, Lin Feng smiled. Zhou Qingfang thought, you don't want to talk about her, but you did that with her too. Don't think I didn't hear it. When she was there, you heard several times, and I could hear the sound of your body hitting. You can also hear her shouting, you are much more fierce than my husband. Later I heard the sound of fighting again, as if someone was going to beat you, and in turn asked you to beat him. Yeah, someone is looking for trouble for me. It's scary. Who is it? It's all right, there is a little contradiction, Lin Feng said. Zhou Qingfang was very curious, but Lin Feng didn't want to say it, and she couldn't keep asking. She really wanted to ask how much Lin Feng could earn from writing online novels in a month, but she didn't ask. Do you have children? Lin Feng asked. I have a daughter who is over 2 years old, and my parents take it with me. Zheng Qi and I both have to go to work, and he is always on business trips, so he can't take care of the child by himself. It turned out to be a woman who had given birth to a child. After becoming a mother, Zhou Qingfang's figure is still very good, her is very big, but it is not because she has given birth to a child. When she was a first girl, her was very big. Lin Feng returned to his partition room, turned on the computer and started typing. He quickly entered the state. Lin Feng was very worried that Zhou Qingfang would come over to see him write novels. Zhou Qingfang was his real reader, so he would probably come over to see what he wrote. After more than an hour, when Lin Feng wrote more than 3,000 words, he felt that his worries were unnecessary, and Zhou Qingfang didn't seem to come over to disturb him. Zhou Qingfang had heard the crisp sound of the keyboard long ago. She knew that Lin Feng was using the green axis mechanical keyboard, because the company she worked for had some employees who needed to input frequently. She thought of reading Lin Feng's code words in the past, but she thought again, maybe Lin Feng was afraid of being disturbed, so she simply didn't go. She clicked on a book downloaded on the computer and read it. It was a novel with colors. She quickly threw herself into it, her plump and hot body getting more and more wet. Lin Feng didn't know that Zhou Qingfang was reading that kind of novel at this time, but he already felt that Zhou Qingfang was a very lonely woman, perhaps a very hungry woman. Some women will become indifferent to that kind of thing after giving birth, and some women's interest in that kind of thing only begins after becoming a mother. Intuition tells Lin Feng that Zhou Qingfang is a woman with strong desires. She had already had a relationship with a man other than her husband before, maybe it was a one-night kiss, maybe she had a fixed lover. This afternoon, Lin Feng wrote almost 8,000 words. According to his current 30,000 words, he earned more than 240 yuan. 360 yuan of income. Lin Feng seldom fools readers, because fooling readers is fooling himself. If he writes unsatisfactory passages, he will delete and rewrite them, and he has played the best level. In his novel reviews, many readers say that he is a very responsible author. Of course, there are many people who criticize him for being too slow in updating, including those who are unreasonable. Lin Feng always believed that his serious attitude and his continuous efforts to improve himself would be rewarded. Lunch was eaten with the female neighbor. It was time to eat dinner by himself. He walked out of the partition room and planned to go out to eat. But at this moment, she heard whispers of arguing from Zhou Qingfang's partition room. You still have no shame. You haven't paid me back the 5,000 yuan I lent you before. Why do you want to borrow another 5,000 yuan? Do you think I am a money printing machine? Qingfang, you are too mean. We are still fellow villagers, and I have always served you very comfortably. Fuck you, the 5,000 in the past. If you want to pay it back, you can pay it back. If you don't pay it back, I won't lend it to you this time. Go away and don't look for me in the future, Zhou Qingfang said angrily. If you are ruthless, then I don't care. I will tell your husband to go. You're so despicable. Okay, then go tell my husband. You think I dare not? I don't care if you dare, You shameless thing. Zhou Qingfang opened the door and walked out, almost bumping into Lin Feng's arms. She let out a "oh," and began to look at Lin Feng's face with surprised eyes. You heard everything. It's not soundproof, so I heard it. Oh, Lin Feng, do Sister Zhou a favor and drive this away, Zhou Qingfang said. Lin Feng didn't want to worry about Zhou Qingfang's crap, but he had a short mouth and Zhou Qingfang was looking at him with pleading eyes. Lin Feng planned to take a look and see what kind of man was in the partition room. He opened the door and saw a thin man standing on the ground, about 170 centimeters tall, about the same age as Zhou Qingfang, both in his early 30s and smoking. Who are you from, Sister Zhou? Can you manage it? Who are you, and what are you? Peach Youth. Author, Sci-fi. Chapter 55. This man is quite arrogant. Lin Feng could see that this man didn't care much. At most, it was as simple as getting to know a few social gangsters. He definitely wouldn't have a strong background. But there is another possibility. This man dares to take his own life. If you don't kill me, I will kill you. Lin Feng frowned and looked at it, and it seemed that he didn't belong to that. Go have an egg. Lin Feng slapped him in the face with a slap in the face. The smoke from his mouth flew out, blood bleeds from the corner of his mouth, and he fell to the ground. Lin Feng hit his stomach again with 2 feet, kicking him to scream, I don't dare, I apologize, don't beat me, I'll go right away. Lin Feng kicked the guy's legs a few more times, causing him to cry. Lin Feng thought to himself, your bones are too soft, I didn't dare to exert any force, so I beat you to tears. Lin Feng twisted his ears and pulled him up, punched him a few times in the back, dragged him out of the partition room, and gave him a kick on his butt. Get out of here, dare to come again, and beat you. That guy disappeared. If Lin Feng hadn't squeezed his strength just now, he would have been crippled. A person with a high level of Kung Fu fights a person who does not know much Kung Fu and has average fighting ability. There is a saying that one's strength is not a loss. If a person is very big, even if he doesn't know how to Kung Fu, it will be difficult to deal with. In fact, this is not the case. Even a very small and highly skilled person will be very handy when dealing with a significantly taller man. As long as the fist can hit his chest or stomach, the problem can be solved, as long as the leg can hit him. It can also solve the problem. The speed was fast enough, so fast that the opponent could not dodge, and kicked the kneecap to solve the problem. Lin Feng looked at Zhou Qingfang, it's all right, I'm going to eat. I invite you. No need, you just invited me at noon. You helped me a lot just now. That guy is so shameless. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't know what to do. Just give Sister Zhou a chance to express her feelings. Since Zhou Qingfang wanted to invite him very much, the money for dinner was saved again, and the two walked out together, went to a nearby restaurant, and sat in the small box. These small boxes are not high-end, they are all prepared by the hotel for the students and couples nearby. In the past, there were men and women who were eating in the small boxes and made them. There was a loud noise, which caused a burst of laughter in the hall. Someone in the hall even shouted, 1, 2, 3, bang bang bang. Theoretically, after hearing this kind of coaxing shouts, the man and woman should stop. I don't know if the man is not satisfied or the woman wants to continue. Anyway, the two of them continue to have sex, that the woman made a very strange cry, like crying, laughing and humming. Lin Feng and Zhou Qingfang sat face to face at the square table. After ordering, the waiter went out. Lin Feng lit a cigarette and started smoking, but Zhou Qingfang looked a little embarrassed, and Feng Yun's face was covered with a layer of crimson. Zhou Qingfang has been watching Lin Feng smoking, and she is very engaged, as if Lin Feng's appearance at this time can bring her a special pleasure. Lin Feng didn't want Zhou Qingfang to look at him with this look, but Zhou Qingfang kept looking at him with this look, and he didn't remind him anything. Do you think I'm shameless? I'm married and have children, and I'm fooling around with men outside. A lot of women are like this now. They feel that it's too bad to have with a man all their lives. I really want to experience what it's like to be with a man other than my husband. Even if they get married and have children, they may also have with outsiders. I am not your husband, I have no right to call you shameless, Lin Feng said. You are realistic and rational. Maybe Zhou Qingfang is complimenting him, but Lin Feng doesn't like this sentence a little. He is indeed realistic, but his rationality is open to question. The reason why he can speak calmly to Zhou Qingfang is because Zhou Qingfang is not his wife, otherwise he probably even has the heart to kill. Whether Lin Feng likes it or not, Zhou Qingfang said it all. She and the man met on the internet. They said they were fellows, but in fact they were only from a province, not in the same city. It's more cordial. At first, they just cared about each other's life, and then they started to send ambiguous pictures. The man first sent an ambiguous picture to Zhou Qingfang, and two cartoon people who were doing that thing in a hot pose, and then quickly explained that it was wrong. I'm sorry, it looked very sincere, it seemed that he was a hot guy. Spicy uses a very principled man. Zhou Qingfang's reaction at the time was not very angry. Instead of blacklisting the man, she scolded him a few times, saying that he was really annoying. What was going on? Didn't she know she was a woman? Later, the man became more and more explicit, not only posting ambiguous pictures, but also teasing Zhou Qingfang with hot words, asking her what color pants she likes, what pose she likes to do that, usually with her husband. Can you reach climax at all times? The climax is Zhou Qingfang's heart disease, and it is also a scar deep in her heart. Talking about this, Zhou Qingfang became excited. Lin Feng, you know? My husband Zheng Qi is so bad that I can't stand it. Speak softly, you will hear it outside. Zheng Qi and I were college classmates, and we had a good time in the second half of our junior year. We didn't get married until more than a year after graduating from college. When we were in love, he really wanted to do it with me, but I just solved it with my mouth. I didn't do that with him. When I was waiting for the bridal chamber, it was time to do that. I shyly lay down on the bed, separated my legs and waited for my first time, but Zheng Qi couldn't stand up. After about an hour of tossing, he finally rushed into my body, but after moving for less than a minute, he sprayed, which almost made me mad. Later, he explained to me that he was too nervous at the time, so I believed it. I think he might be too nervous, that's why he sucks. Zhou Qingfang began to cry when she said this. Her cry was a little loud, and Lin Feng worried, if you want to cry, then cry softly, and let the people eating in the outside hall hear it and think I have done something to you. Zhou Qingfang continued choking and crying, but her cry was much smaller. Later I found out that he couldn't do that at all. After that, every time he did it, it would take no more than 5 minutes at most, and it would usually soften within 3 minutes. I feel like he can't do it. I have never enjoyed the I imagined before getting married. I used to hear people say how comfortable a woman was at that time, but I wasn't comfortable at all, but that's it, I was still pregnant with him children. Even if a man is bad at that aspect, it is possible for a woman to get pregnant. There are indeed many women who have become mothers who have not experienced an orgasm. It seems that Zhou Qingfang is one of them. Actually, before I was pregnant, Zheng Qi already knew that he was not good in that aspect. He had seen many doctors and drank a lot of medicine, but he still failed. Later, his temper became stronger and he often quarreled with me. I'm very aggrieved. I said that I haven't complained about you yet, so you started complaining about me first. Are you still a man? That's not good. Why is your temper not good enough? Get a divorce. And afterwards, Zheng Qi knelt down in front of me and begged me not to divorce him, but my sisters said at the time that if a man can't do that, the quality of life will be very poor, and women can't live without that, so you should stay with him. Divorce, just when I made up my mind to divorce him, I was pregnant, and he said, for the sake of the child, leave, as long as you don't divorce, I promise you everything. Zhou Qingfang and Zheng Qi didn't get divorced. After that, Zheng Qi had less control over Zhou Qingfang's private life, tacitly agreeing that his wife can have an affair. Later, I had a relationship with the man you met today, Zhou Qingfang said with a wry smile. Actually, your appearance is not bad, you can say that you are very good. If you are looking for him, don't look for him so bad. What does he do? Lin Feng said. If he is in the business of aluminum alloy screens, if he is diligent, he can make 100,000 yuan a year, but he is lazy, and he is very good at gambling, and the tens of thousands of yuan he earns a year will make him lose the landlord's agenhua. As you can see, he lent me money. A few months ago, I lent him 5,000 yuan. At that time, he said that he would pay me back within a month, but he has not paid it back today. If I want to borrow 5,000, I will definitely not lend it to him, and I don't plan to ask for the 5,000 before, and if I want to borrow it again, there is no way. When Zhou Qingfang said this, the waiter came to deliver the food, and at the same time he also brought a bottle of wine, which turned out to be Urquatu with a high level. Lin Feng's head is a little big. He doesn't want to drink with Zhou Qingfang. Otherwise, this woman whose marriage is unsatisfactory drinks and might do something to him. His thing is very big and has excellent durability. It must be Zhou Qingfang's favorite. Of the kind. Sister Zhou, if you want to drink, then you can drink alone. I'll have to code at night. Drink some wine, the inspiration will blow out, and more importantly, it's Sister Zhou, beg you, accompany me to drink some. Then I'll drink less, I can drink as much as I want, you can't persuade me, Lin Feng said. Fine. Zhou Qingfang is a woman with strong desires. When the child just turned 1 year old, her desires were stronger than before. Even if there were lovers outside, she was still very empty. Lonely women are very imaginative. When pouring wine into a wine glass, Zhou Qingfang began to think, Lin Feng, a person who hits people very sharply, is his thing very big, is he very violent in doing it? When Zhou Qingfang thought of the sound coming from Lin Feng's room, she wanted to understand the problem. Lin Feng did that very violently. Lin Feng made the beautiful girl shout for a long time, she even listened. It was the sound of Lin Feng and the girl's body colliding. After clinking glasses, Lin Feng and Zhou Qingfang both took a sip of white wine. Lin Feng picked up the vegetables and put them in his mouth and slowly started eating. Do you think I'm rude? I don't usually see how rambunctious you are. I estimate that when you are walking on the road or working in the company, not many people will see that you are rambunctious, Lin Feng said. Zhou Qingfang was a little unhappy. What do you mean? Although ordinary people can't see that I am very rude, but I am really rude. I didn't say that, you said it yourself, Lin Feng said. I will screw you. Zhou Qingfang's hand really twisted towards Lin Feng's arm. Lin Feng grabbed her hand and said with a smile, Sister Zhou, you'd better not attack me, it's easy to get hurt. You hurt me, Zhou Qingfang said in a trembling voice. Lin Feng let go of her hand. Hurry up and eat, I have something else to do after eating. After the episode just now, Zhou Qingfang's breathing was a little uneven. When eating vegetables, he would occasionally glance at Lin Feng's face. Lin Feng is 180 and is very strong, but his face is not handsome at all. Can be regarded as the kind of ordinary people who are not ugly. In middle school, college, and after graduation, few people said he was handsome. The only ones who said he was handsome were street girls on the side of the road, women who asked him for directions, or shopping guides who persuaded him to buy things. Handsome guy, do it once 100 times, handsome guy, let's do it for a while, it will make you feel good. Handsome guy, how to get to Beijing Normal University. Dude, is there a construction bank nearby? Handsome guy, you will look even more handsome in these jeans. Handsome guy, it's only over 300, you should buy it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Peach Youth. Author, Su Kifeng. Chapter 56. Seeing a smile on the corner of Lin Feng's mouth, Zhou Qingfang worried, "Are you mocking me?" "No, I just thought of something fun." "What fun?" "You don't know what happened when I was in school," Lin Feng said. "Let's eat vegetables quickly, if you don't eat more, the money will be wasted." A bottle of Urquatu, Lin Feng drank at most 2 taels. He actually didn't want to drink 1 or 2, he had already drank high twice a while ago, and he didn't want to drink high at all today. Zhou Qingfang didn't drink a lot, but she drank more than half a caddy, and she didn't take the rest of the wine with her. Walking down the street together, Lin Feng found that Zhou Qingfang had a strong odor of alcohol. Seeing her walking, she was shaking. She thought, "It's broken, this lonely woman is drinking too much." Unmarried ladies can be wild when they drink too much. Unmarried babes are more likely to go wild after drinking too much. A lonely married woman must be wild when she drinks too much. Lin Feng only hopes that Zhou Qingfang will be wild in her own partition room, never go wild in his partition room. Lin Feng returned to his partition room, and Zhou Qingfang also returned to her partition room. When Lin Feng leaned on the chair and smoked, Zhou Qingfang's plump body reclined on the bed, and blew a breath of alcohol on the ceiling. Her expression became more and more confused. At this moment, what she thought was, it would be great if there was a man at this time. She seems to ride up and down on a man's body. If the man's things are big, she especially likes to use her mouth. Clap 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 clap. Oh ah 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 ah. Zhou Qingfang sang a song, her voice was very silver, and her posture on the bed was also very indecent, her legs kept opening and closing. This kind of pleasure is driving this woman crazy. It's all her husband's fault. Her husband, the man named Zheng Qi, must also want to have something very sturdy. Powerful, but he couldn't be tough. Lin Feng vaguely heard Zhou Qingfang's singing voice, but he didn't quite understand the lyrics, but he still recognized Zhou Qingfang's voice, at least the woman's voice was very sweet. Lin Feng felt that in addition to her husband Zheng Qi and the man who made aluminum alloy screens, Zhou Qingfang had had relationships with other men, but hearing what Zhou Qingfang said to him today, it seemed that she did not have any relationship with these two. A man other than a man has had a relationship. This doesn't seem to be his concern. If Zhou Qingfang told him, he would listen, and if he didn't say it, he wouldn't ask. Lin Feng pondered for a while, and continued to code. At this time, he was coding very fast, for fear that Zhou Qingfang would disturb him if he suddenly broke in. Zhou Qingfang, who was lying on the bed, gradually became half asleep and half awake. She vaguely returned to the time when she was still in love with her husband. At that time, Zheng Qi really wanted to have a relationship with her, but she just didn't agree. Every time Zheng Qi's request was special. When she is strong, she will choose to use her mouth or her hands. If she had had a relationship with Zheng Qi before marriage and knew in advance that he was bad, then there would be no future marriage. Zhou Qingfang has a lot of affection for Zheng Qi, but she will not marry a person whose ability is so poor. Man. Now her lovely daughter is 2 years old. If she gets divorced because of this, her daughter will not have a complete family. Zhou Qingfang can only continue to live with Zheng Qi. She will continue to find a man to have a relationship with, she needs a man so much. It was almost 2 hours, and Zhou Qingfang's drinking strength had passed a lot, and she was completely awake from half dreaming, but the stimulation of alcohol was still there, and she entered a state of lust. Women in this state are generally brave. Zhou Qingfang had the guts to knock on Lin Feng's door, but she actually walked out. Outside Lin Feng's partition room, the green axis mechanical keyboard was still ringing. After hesitating for a moment, Zhou Qingfang knocked on the door. Hearing the knock, Lin Feng was a little depressed. This lonely woman came to disturb him anyway. Women and women, you are here, women and women, you really want to take off, women and women, I am typing. Lin Feng minimized the document, got up and opened the door, and saw Zhou Qingfang smiling at him. Her smile was very reserved, not like a casual woman. Zhou Qingfang's round are very plump, her body is leaning forward, her plump may hit Lin Feng's body at any time, and at the same time her hair has swept to Lin Feng's face, with a cool fragrance. Sister Zhou, is something wrong? Well, there is something, Zhou Qingfang said. Since she had something to do, she had to come in. Lin Feng and Zhou Qingfang sat on the chair together. Lin Feng lit a cigarette again and said with a smile, it's not like someone is looking for trouble for you again. Look at you, do you think I've dated a lot of unreliable people? What's that? Do you still want to hear my story? If you really want to talk, then I'll be an audience, Lin Feng said. Actually, apart from my husband and the man you met today, I also had that affair with 2 other men, Zhou Qingfang said. Lin Feng thought to himself, it seems that I guessed right. You really have had with other men? Lin Feng didn't ask who the other 2 were, and Zhou Qingfang started talking again. One of them is the former department director of our company, and the other is a college student. The department director and I were before the man you met today. At first, he only occasionally pinched my waist or patted my butt. I glared at him every time, and I never scolded him with harsh words. Later, he became more and more courageous. Once I wore a denim skirt to work, he called me to the office and hugged me. He touched me and put it in my for a long time, I forgot if I was gasping or if I made any other noise. On the 3rd day after that, he called me to him again. In his office, he picked me up, put me on his desk, and got on me. Did you that time? I had an orgasm. It was the first in my life. I was shocked. Only then did I know that the real between a man and a woman is so cool, I even fell in love with him. Is he married too? The children have already gone to primary school. He is from Beijing. Later, I often did it with him. I did it in his office a few times, and went to the hotel to open a room a few times. It's more comfortable. House flowers don't have the fragrance of wild flowers. Lin Feng thought to himself, even if the home flower is a beauty or a famous object, he will still feel that it is not as exciting and delicious as the wild flower. If the home flower suddenly turns into a wild flower one day, it will feel so wonderful, so he will turn the wild flower into a home flower again. Kept tossing the Civil Affairs Bureau. Are you still working with that supervisor now? I didn't do it. He quit. He didn't contact me after that. I tried to call him once and the number changed. That's because I don't want to contact you anymore. Don't destroy his family, Lin Feng said with a smile. You don't need to remind me of this. Actually, I'm not a despicable woman. Speaking of which, the first time the supervisor and I were forced to see me. It's not a strong opinion. You are at best a half assistance. If you yell at the rascal, don't touch me, it is estimated that the supervisor will be scared into a cold sweat, Lin Feng said with a smile. You're mocking me again. No, you misunderstood, I was just joking, Lin Feng said. Zhou Qingfang started talking about her and the college student again. At first, they were just netizens. The student said that he liked to chat with women in their 30s, and felt that they understood life very well. Zhou Qingfang knew that the student said this to catch women, and it was estimated that she had done it with women in their 30s before. It was very cool, so she liked women of this age very much. It's not that a first girl is cool, it's not that a woman who has never had a child is cool, and it's not that a beautiful woman is cool. In fact, sometimes, a married woman in her 30s can really make a man very cool. Such a woman has a unique charm, she is warm and experienced, and her hot body moves together, which can create an extraordinary surging. Later, the student began to ask Zhou Qingfang to accompany him to do it once. At that time, it was agreed that it would only be once. In fact, Zhou Qingfang already wanted to do it with him, but she still held back, and it took more than half a month to do it. When I was doing this with the 19-year-old freshman, when my husband was on a business trip, I invited him to my house and cooked for him, but he hugged me halfway through the meal. I started kissing, I couldn't control it anymore, I started to touch his thing, it was quite big, I was very excited at the time, I thought he could make me very comfortable, and then I fell on the sofa and started to do it, he pressed, I pushed hard again and again, I forgot how loud I was screaming, I had 3 orgasms, and then I continued to eat with him, and after eating for less than half an hour, he took out the thing again come out. Zhou Qingfang looked at Lin Feng and found that Lin Feng's brows were wrinkled, and he said nervously, "You must think that this woman is too shameless, so I still don't talk about it. Say it if you want to." I had with him 3 times that day, and I had in every time. When he was pushing me, he kept asking me, "Sister, are you comfortable?" I said, "Sister is very comfortable. You don't have any contact with that student anymore. I haven't contacted you for a long time, and I didn't do it 10 times in total. Maybe he was tired of me." Later, it was the man you saw. Although he was very thin, the thing was quite big and it was very fierce to make. Yes, but when he does it, he likes to scold people, and he always says, "If you AB, I'll kill you." Later, I also said to him, "If you AB, you kill me." Zhou Qingfang told all about her affairs after she got married. Lin Feng was like watching a reserved and wild movie. His thing was very straight, and even had the urge to force Zhou Qingfang. If Zhou Qingfang was in this state, if he wants to do it, he can do it right away. Perhaps at this time Zhou Qingfang was already a black fungus. It was normal for a woman who had given birth to a child and had an extramarital affair with 3 men to be a black fungus, but Lin Feng knew that Zhou Qingfang would make her feel good. More than 80% of the excellent women who can be called the elite in bed are black fungus. When a man slept with her, he told other men that it was good to sleep with her, so other men would also sleep with her. This chain reaction made them very uncomfortable. Busy. But a beautiful woman is not necessarily a fairy in bed. When a man goes to a beautiful woman, his psychological enjoyment is more important. After a few times, he will feel that he is just an ordinary woman. But women with average appearance and body are not particularly good looking, and they may be bad spirits. Their bodies can make men feel good and let them release wildly. Peach Youth. Author, Su Kifeng. Chapter 57. Lin Feng, let's do it once. Zhou Qingfang gathered up his courage and finally made this request. No. Lin Feng was prepared in advance, so his answer was relatively calm, but his body reacted quite a bit, because a very charming woman proposed to do that with him. "Oh, do you think I'm dirty?" "No, as long as she's not a sick woman, she won't get dirty after a bath." Lin Feng thought to himself, otherwise, after those beauties have been photographed by many men, there would not be many rich and young people interested in them, and they would still be so exciting when they took off their trousers. "I'm not sick." "I didn't say you were sick," Lin Feng said. "Then let's do it once." "I don't want to do it." "Okay, I want to code, you go back first," Lin Feng said. Zhou Qingfang wanted to hug Lin Feng, but she was afraid that Lin Feng would scold her for being a scumbag when she was angry. "She's not a stinky face, she's the mother of a little girl, she's a man's wife, she's a woman, if a man her and gives her money, she'll be angry, she'll be big shout, 'Put away your stinky money, what do you mean?' She just wanted to do that, she didn't want to make money off it." Lin Feng thought of his former female neighbor Lu Ziona, the chicken who wanted to become a chicken head. He had done it a few times with Lu Ziona in a helpless situation. Become a little chicken head. The partition room that Zhou Qingfang lives in now is the one that Lu Ziona lived in before. Zhou Qingfang also likes to do that with men other than her husband, but her and Lu Ziona's goals are obviously different. Zhou Qingfang is to meet physical needs, and Lu Ziona is to make money. Since Lin Feng didn't mean it that way, Zhou Qingfang could only go out, which was very embarrassing. She had done shameless things many times before, but this time she felt ashamed the most. She begged Lin Feng to be with her, but Lin Feng did not agree. Zhou Qingfang began to cry when she returned to her partition room. She cried so loudly that Lin Feng heard her cry. Zhou Qingfang even thought that she would ignore Lin Feng in the future and be strangers to him, but she quickly rejected this idea because it was unreasonable. Lin Feng has helped her, and Lin Feng is a very personable person. This kind of person can be used as a friend. Lin Feng was not touched by Zhou Qingfang's cry. He cried if he wanted to. He wouldn't rush over to take off her shorts and put her on top because Zhou Qingfang was crying so sadly. 2 days have passed. Zhou Qingfang wanted to invite Lin Feng to eat in her partition room twice, but Lin Feng didn't go. Zhou Qingfang felt that Lin Feng was avoiding her on purpose. Maybe she was talking too much to Lin Feng. After knowing that she had had relationships with 4 men, Lin Feng felt that she was dirty. After having lunch, Lin Feng walked on the nearby road for more than half an hour, and then returned to his partition room. When he was lying on the bed, Lin Feng's body was tall and straight, but he was not tall and straight because he wanted to do that with Zhou Qingfang. He often gets upright inexplicably, especially in summer, which has embarrassed him many times. In high school, when he was walking on the campus, there were not only girls but also female teachers who passed by him. His body instantly stood up and his trousers were held up very high. Lin Feng was afraid that the female teacher would see it later. I will despise him in my heart. As a last resort, Lin Feng could only put his hand into his trouser pocket and grabbed his erection and then bent it. He felt very uncomfortable, but his steps were more natural than before. After a while, I heard a knock on the door. It wasn't the female neighbor Zhou Qingfang, but Shang Yuna. In the past, Lin Feng still had some ideas about the beautiful Shang Yuna. Whether it was lying on the bed or sitting on the chair, he thought about it, if only Shang Yuna could be his girlfriend. But later, the conflict between him and Shang Yuna became deeper and deeper, and Shang Yuna despised him more and more, and even asked someone to come and beat him. At this time, Shang Yuna suddenly ran to his partition room and didn't know what she wanted to do. Although there were conflicts in the past, Lin Feng would not be particularly cold to her and said with a smile, "Sister Yuna, come and find her." "Me, is there something wrong?" "I came here to ask you a question. I think you are also a book writer anyway. Maybe what you write has no taste, but after all, it was written out. Maybe your views on certain issues are relatively different. Unique. Are you touting me or mocking me? If you want to ask me a question, just ask me, and go out if you don't want to. You're starting to look down on me, the second landlord. Do you think I'll be afraid of you now that you have that kind of relationship with my sister? Hurry up and stop talking nonsense, let people outside hear it and think your sister is a bad woman. Your sister is a landlord. A teacher can't easily leave a bad impression on the students, and a landlord can't easily give a tenant a bad impression. Leave a bad impression, Lin Feng said. Shang Yuna suddenly became embarrassed. Maybe she mentioned that the relationship between her sister and Lin Feng was really inappropriate. She gave Lin Feng angrily, "I ask you, do you think I am in love with Li Xingguo? What will be the end? I find you're a little out of your mind." "You mean, I can't fall in love with Li Xingguo?" "I didn't say that, I mean, you asked me this question, it's a bit out of my mind. How do I know what the ending of your relationship with him is?" I don't know much about Li Xingguo. If you didn't find him to bring someone here if you want to hit me, I don't even know who Li Xingguo is, Lin Feng said. You seem to despise Li Xingguo a little. I see that you not only have problems with your brain, but also with your ears. Where did you hear that I look down on Li Xingguo? Lin Feng thought to himself, Li Xingguo seemed to despise me a bit, so I might despise him. Although I'm still just a little writer who isn't very popular, I can still despise him, the man who took advantage of tens of millions. Shang Yuna was very angry, because Lin Feng's attitude towards her was too rude. She even wanted to kick Lin Feng, but Lin Feng's kung fu was very high. Even the taekwondo masters and karate masters brought by Li Xingguo were not Lin Feng's opponents. I am afraid that her feet will never fall on Lin Feng's body, and he may take the opportunity to eat tofu. I plan to date Li Xingguo. After all, this is an opportunity for me. He is very interested, but I naturally have a way to deal with her. Although I haven't been in love much before, I still have a very good way to deal with men. Shang Yuna seemed very confident, but Lin Feng showed a disdainful smile. Sister Yuna, since you are so confident, hurry up and fall in love with Li Xingguo. You, really, are you taunting me? I really want to hear your opinion, just say what you think. It seems that Shang Yuna came here this time not to trouble him, but to ask for his opinion. Lin Feng said with a smile, then how do you want to hold down Li Xingguo's very caring young master? Don't have a relationship with him before marriage, Shang Yuna said solemnly. Lin Feng burst into laughter immediately, and he almost laughed his back. You are still a university teacher, you look beautiful and arrogant, but you are too naive. You don't want to do it with him, but I definitely want to have with you. Your face is so beautiful, your body is so good, it must be very comfortable to play with you. When she heard Lin Feng say that it must be very comfortable to you, Shang Yuna's face immediately turned red. She couldn't take it any longer. She raised her pink fist and smashed it towards Lin Feng's chest. Lin Feng then took Shang Yuna into his arms and stroked her round buttocks. The more Shang Yuna twisted, the more happy Lin Feng felt. Shang Yuna knew that the partition room was not soundproof, so she didn't dare to shout. She trembled. You bastard, you eat my tofu again, quickly let go of me, don't touch, who am I to you? Just touch me. Lin Feng pinched Shang Yuna's again, and then smiled. It's so comfortable to touch you, it makes you more comfortable. You are so bad. Actually, I'm fine, but you haven't found out yet, Lin Feng said. If you and Li Xingguo want to date, don't ask me, it's your own business, you can do it yourself. I want to write something, trouble. Can you go out? Shang Yuna snorted tenderly and walked out, feeling very distressed. She didn't ask Lin Feng what his opinion was, and even asked him to touch his butt. Although she didn't put her hand in to touch it, she was already embarrassed. When Shang Yuna thought that Lin Feng and her sister had done that thing, she was even more embarrassed. Thanks to Lin Feng not telling her at the time that I had with your sister, otherwise she would have to collapse. Lin Feng felt that Shang Yuna and Li Xingguo had a great chance of dating. Even if Li Xingguo changed girlfriends like changing clothes, Shang Yuna might seize this opportunity. Lin Feng was a little depressed, because he liked Shang Yuna a little before, but now, Lin Feng doesn't know whether he still likes Shang Yuna a little bit. Anyway, his heart is a little uncomfortable. Lin Feng calmed down and continued to code words. The smoke was lingering. Lin Feng code words were very fast. He also wanted to become a person who could take advantage of tens of millions or even hundreds of millions, but he didn't know if there would be such a day. It was almost time for dinner, and Lin Feng had already written 10,000 characters. It seems that writing 15,000 characters is no problem today. Hearing the knock on the door, Lin Feng knew that it was the female neighbor Zhou Qingfang. He opened the door and saw Zhou Qingfang, who was carrying a plate of pepper eggs. He smiled and said, "Did you go to the wrong door, carrying the dish? What are you doing in my room? Eat. Do you want to invite me to eat again?" Well, I originally wanted to invite you to my room to eat, but I was afraid that you wouldn't come, so I brought it to you, give me a face, and let me in. Zhou Qingfang was quite sincere. Since she really wanted to eat together, let's eat together. Lin Feng stepped aside, Zhou Qingfang put the dishes on the computer table, and soon went to serve them again. Zhou Qingfang brought 3 dishes over, and later brought the rice cooker for making rice, and brought a bottle of wine over, and said with a charming smile, let's drink some, look at this wine, little confused fairy, it's not bad. It's not bad, but what I'm afraid of is that after drinking this wine, both of us will be confused. Lin Feng looked at Zhou Qingfang's face once again, found that this charming woman was very irritating. Because her husband is not good in that aspect, Zhou Qingfang is a little bit burnt, but sometimes, a woman with a bit of burn is more attractive to a man than a pure woman, and the burn will be more enthusiastic and surging. After clinking glasses, Lin Feng took a sip of wine. He looked at Zhou Qingfang's chest. The chest in the tights was very full. Zhou Qingfang is a woman with good skin. If you touch her chest, it should be very refreshing. Perhaps it was because Lin Feng was stimulated by the news that Shang Yuna wanted to date Li Xingguo. At this time, Lin Feng wanted to do something to Zhou Qingfang, but when he thought that Zhou Qingfang was a woman with a husband, his heart was a little tangled. Although the man's hair had already turned emerald green, Lin Feng didn't really want to add something to make his hair dark green. Lin Feng, I like you very much. It's useless for you to like me. Even if you and your husband divorce, I won't marry you. What do you say? Do I want to marry you if I like you? Besides, I won't divorce my husband, otherwise the child will not have a complete family. My daughter is only 2 years old and she is very cute. Make her a poor child. You are a good mother, Lin Feng said in his heart, although you are a little bit flustered. Maybe Zhou Qingfang's windburn was really forced out. Lin Feng didn't know, if Zhou Qingfang's husband was very good in that aspect, would she still have windburn? If this was the case, would Zhou Qingfang have with men other than her husband? The impulse for that. Men are easily bored with a woman's body, and women are easily bored with a man's body. Even a woman with a strong husband may have a curious mind and want to give it a try, what it's like to be with another man. Peach Youth. Author, Su Kifeng. Chapter 58. Lin Feng and Zhou Qingfang finished the 3 dishes and finished drinking a bottle of Little Confused Immortals. Neither of them were drunk, but they were very intoxicated. If the 2 of them are confused together now, they will be as happy as a fairy. Zhou Qingfang didn't seem to intend to clean up the dishes immediately. Looking at Lin Feng's face, her breathing became rapid. Lin Feng was also looking at Zhou Qingfang's face. Feng Yun's beautiful face was a little red, this loneliness was very pleasing. If it wasn't for Lin Feng being provoked by Shang Yuna again, in his eyes, Zhou Qingfang wouldn't have bothered so much. Shang Yuna never thought about dating him, but now Shang Yuna wants to be with Li Xingguo, a romantic young man. What for? It must be money. If it wasn't for Li Xingguo's wealth, Shang Yuna would not have thought of taking this risk. In the future, he must become a rich man, but Lin Feng does not have the luck to get rich overnight. Being rich requires a process for him, and he will inevitably endure a lot during this process. Don't look at me like that, Lin Feng said. You are also looking at me. I just wanted to know if you were looking at me, Lin Feng said. Zhou Qingfang smiled, very charmingly, and threw herself into Lin Feng's arms violently. Lin Feng felt a pair of big hit him, soft and warm, and then Zhou Qingfang's head rested on his shoulder. Lin Feng's hand touched Zhou Qingfang's chest through the tights. After a while, he said, if you really want to do it with me, you might as well wait 2 hours later. Okay, then I'll sleep with you tonight. Zhou Qingfang excitedly packed up the tableware and went back to her partition room. She glanced at the time, and Lin Feng would be with her in an hour and a half. When Lin Feng and his ex-girlfriend Shen Bingqian were doing it, Zhou Qingfang heard a very warm sound, and it lasted for a long time. According to the inference at the time, Lin Feng could do it for dozens of minutes at a time. Is he really that strong? Zhou Qingfang was very hopeful, very much hoped that Lin Feng could bring her waves of pleasure, and he used violent movements to send her to the clouds. Another half an hour has passed, and Zhou Qingfang is even more hopeful. In another hour, she will be able to go to Lin Feng's room. She almost forgot one very important thing, which was taking a bath. Zhou Qingfang hurriedly took a small bathing basket to the bathroom. The small basket contained body lotion, shampoo, and many other things. Lin Feng wrote another 2,000 words just now. Today, it exceeded 12,000 words. Originally, he wanted to write 15,000 words. In fact, while Zhou Qingfang hadn't come over, he could continue to write, but he is no longer in that mood. No matter what happened to Zhou Qingfang, after all, she was a strange woman he had never slept with before. Lin Feng was very excited by her curiosity. At this time, he was already thinking about hugging and exercising with Zhou Qingfang. Lin Feng also wanted to take a shower. Although he just took a shower yesterday, he still wanted to take a shower before doing that with Zhou Qingfang. When Lin Feng went outside the bathroom door, he heard the sound of running water. The plastic door with frosted glass was not very soundproof. When someone was taking a shower, he could even see the shaking figure through the frosted glass, but he couldn't see the details. There was a hole in the frosted glass that was burned by a cigarette butt, and now it was stuck with transparent tape. This hole existed before Lin Feng moved in. Later, he heard the man in the partition room near the gate say that the hole was a pervert burned out. This pervert does not live in this house, but lives upstairs, but no one caught this pervert at the time, and it is not clear which woman this pervert saw through this hole bathed in water's body. Before this hole, the door of this house would sometimes be open, and there were many households living in it. Some people didn't want to close the door for convenience. The anti-theft door lost its anti-theft function, and a hole appeared on the bathroom door. With this hole, the security door is tightly closed. Lin Feng didn't stand outside the bathroom for a long time, otherwise people would suspect that he wanted to peek at the woman taking a bath. Lin Feng knew that Zhou Qingfang was taking a bath, so he went back soon. After Zhou Qingfang took a shower, she put on her nightgown and walked out wet. A man greeted her. Did she take a shower? She hummed. Zhou Qingfang was a little shy. She felt that this man should not greet her in this way. What does it mean to take a shower? Could it be that when she saw her coming out of the bathroom, she asked her, urinating? Zhou Qingfang put the small basket for bathing back in her partition room, then locked the door and went to Lin Feng's partition room. Lin Feng immediately smelled an aroma, and he began to admire Zhou Qingfang's charming appearance in a night dress. Zhou Qingfang sat on Lin Feng's lap and smiled. Should we go to bed? If you really want to be in the chair, that's fine. Oh, by the way, I wanted to take a shower just now, but you're taking a shower. Did you take a shower yesterday? Washed. Then you don't need to wash now. Zhou Qingfang kissed Lin Feng's neck. Lin Feng chatted about Zhou Qingfang's night dress, and his hand moved towards Zhou Qingfang's panties. He quickly tore off her panties, and began to tease her soft, wet patch. Feels great. The female neighbor's body water is a little too big. Lin Feng saw Zhou Qingfang's wetness, and Zhou Qingfang also saw Lin Feng's uprightness. No. You are too strong, how can you be so big? Lin Feng has no money. He has never used money to shock a woman, but his thing has shocked women several times. At this time, Lin Feng is a little proud, because no amount of money can buy such a big thing. Plastic surgery can make a woman's breast bigger, but it is difficult to make a man's thing bigger. The two fiery bodies joined together and became enthusiastic. The body of Zhou Qingfang, a woman who had already had several men, was still so cool. Only then did Lin Feng feel that the body of a woman who had given birth to a child could be so cool, and it wasn't necessarily worse than a girl in her 20s. Keep your voice down, or people outside will hear you. Lin Feng reminded her once that Zhou Qingfang's shouting was a little quieter. When she was doing it on the chair, Zhou Qingfang experienced the thrill twice. When she rolled on the bed, it was even more violent than before. After calming down, Zhou Qingfang still hugged Lin Feng's neck and looked at Lin Feng's face emotionally. You are so strong, I like you so much. Don't fall in love with me. Don't tease, I know what's going on with me, and I know what's going on with you and don't worry, I'll only make you happy, and won't cause you trouble. Lin Feng said, your husband doesn't it will come back suddenly, although I am rendering his hair, but I still don't want him to see my brush. Zhou Qingfang burst out laughing. Zhou Qingfang suddenly felt that her laughter just now was a bit unworthy of his husband. She couldn't do it with other men, but she couldn't laugh like that. Zhou Qingfang's charming face was full of sullenness, and she hummed, don't say that, it's embarrassing, don't worry, my husband won't be back tonight, and it's estimated that he won't be back in 20 days. Lin Feng and Zhou Qingfang spent a wet night. They did it again in the early morning, and Zhou Qingfang went back. Lin Feng took a nap. When he woke up, it was already past 10 o'clock in the morning. After he got up and washed up, it was almost time for lunch. Lin Feng walked out and walked to this familiar street again. What Lin Feng thought of was Shang Yuna. Maybe she has gone to Li Xingguo now, maybe she is doing that with Li Xingguo. Maybe Shang Yuna doesn't really want to do that with Li Xingguo, but Li Xingguo definitely wants to do that with Shang Yuna. At this time, Shang Yuna was indeed with Li Xingguo, not doing that, but eating at a very high-end restaurant. Li Xingguo was very willing to spend money when he hooked up with women, and he was quite a prodigal. Every woman he broke up with paid him hundreds of thousands of dollars. Of course, Li Xingguo also got their bodies, and some of them even enlarged their stomachs. Of course, Li Xingguo wanted to get Shang Yuna's body. He even wanted to do it with Shang Yuna in the private room of the restaurant. He really wanted to put Shang Yuna on the dining table to do that, and he could hear the plate and the slap. The rattling of plates. But Shang Yuna didn't allow him to do this. Shang Yuna even said, before we get married, you can't touch my body. Li Xingguo was very distressed and thought, you are really a genius, how can you have such a thought? Woolen cloth. I'm in love with you, not to get your body. Li Xingguo verbally agreed, but he was pondering in his heart, how to get Shang Yuna's body as soon as possible. The best way is to take a way to make her not very angry, so that it will end after she is comfortable. If it is medicine to deal with her, you may lose it after you do it. Li Xingguo is still very interested in Shang Yuna. After chasing her for so long, she doesn't want to break up too soon. Shang Yuna and Li Xingguo left soon after the meal, not even in the mood to go shopping with Li Xingguo. There is only one reason. She doesn't love Li Xingguo. Although Shang Yuna is arrogant, she is a person with a clear distinction between good and evil. Shang Yuna doesn't know much about Li Xingguo. Naturally, Li Xingguo was classified as a villain. Until the evening, Shang Yuna felt very uncomfortable. When she and Shang Yunjuan were sitting on the sofa watching TV together, she would complain from time to time, it was really annoying. Shang Yunjuan was very puzzled and worried. Yuna, did that romantic young man Li Xingguo take you? No, he thinks, but I won't give him my body so soon. I haven't written a word yet, so I won't do such a mindless thing. Shang Yuna's expression became obsessed. Sister, do you think it is possible for me to train Li Xingguo to be a regular person? Since he loves me very much, then I may control him, right? It doesn't seem right. For a person like Li Xingguo, what he wants to do, what he doesn't do, must be based on his own ideas. Even if he loves you very much, it may not be because of your existence. Come on, there are many men in this world who love their wives and sleep with other women outside, and I think the chances of you marrying Li Xingguo are very small. Why? It's very simple. Before you can get the certificate, he will make you very angry. You are my sister, and I still know your personality very well. This is Shang Yunjuan's opinion. But Shang Yuna won't give up easily, because this is an opportunity for her, a chance to live in a mansion and drive a famous car. If she succeeds, she will be more brilliant than before, she will become the envy of more people, and being envied is more enjoyable than drinking cold drinks in summer. In a few days it will be time for Lin Feng and Li Xingguo to compete. If it wasn't for Li Xingguo's proposal to compete with Lin Feng at the time, Lin Feng would not have taken the initiative to compete with him. Before, Lin Feng never competed with anyone in a formal manner, but he just cleaned up others. The scheduled time for the competition was 10 o'clock in the morning. It would take about half and 40 minutes by taxi from Lin Feng's place to the Jinwu Center. It would be hard to tell if there was a traffic jam. Since he was going to the competition, Lin Feng would be a little bit more flamboyant. He didn't plan to take the bus, and he wouldn't be late. Before 9 o'clock, Lin Feng walked into the street in a gray-black sportswear and stopped him. A taxi headed for the Jinwu Center. When Lin Feng arrived, it was only 20 minutes before 10 o'clock, and Li Xingguo was not seen outside the Jinwu Center. Lin Feng was strolling on the nearby road. After another 10 minutes, he saw Li Xingguo, and at the same time he also looked at Li Xingguo. Arrived at Shang Yuna. It seemed that Shang Yuna was still Li Xingguo's girlfriend. Lin Feng felt a little frustrated, but Shang Yuna was not his, she had the right to choose the future, and Lin Feng could not interfere. Lin Feng walked over, Li Xingguo looked at Lin Feng proudly, and when he walked in, he said, "You wear this sportswear for at least 200 yuan, and you have been wearing it for at least 3 years. I have worn this set of sportswear for more than 3 years. I bought it before I graduated, but it is not as expensive as you think. If I remember correctly, I bought it from the stall for 69 yuan. Lin Feng said. Li Xingguo didn't despise Lin Feng even more because of this, but he felt that he was an extraordinary person. "Let's go in." Li Xingguo smiled and looked at Shang Yuna's face. "My dear, I will show you my power." You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Peach Youth. Author, Su Kifeng. Chapter 59. Shang Yuna is very embarrassed. She is now Li Xingguo's girlfriend. In theory, she should hope that Li Xingguo will win, but she doesn't want to hurt Lin Feng at all, and even wants Lin Feng to win. In the face of Li Xingguo's proud show, Shang Yuna didn't cooperate very actively, she just sighed. When Lin Feng walked in, he realized that the Jinwu Center was much larger than he had imagined. It was divided into different areas. How much is it worth? Lin Feng feels that there may not be many masters in a very stylish martial arts hall, and the real kung fu masters may not necessarily open martial arts halls. Maybe a very inconspicuous person walking on the road is a top kung fu master, but he does not rely on kung fu to eat at all. Walking into a large room together, Lin Feng saw the ring and the neatly arranged auditorium. At this time, there were more than 30 people sitting in the auditorium, some of them were inside the martial arts hall, and some were outside Li Xingguo. Friend. The arena is very standard. On the back wall is a red line script font, which adds a bit of heaviness. Li Xingguo's father Li Yang, the owner of Jinwu Center, is a well-known sanjiao master in Beijing City. The so-called sanjiao means sparring. Sanda is a very practical kung fu. All kinds of boxing and leg skills can be integrated into Sanda. Leaving aside the people in the Beijing City Sanda team, they are purely folks. There are also many people who can play Sanda, but being able to do it is different from being able to play. If you can become a master of Sanda, you must be very good at Sanda. Lin Feng has never met Li Yang before, and he doesn't know what kind of person he is. Maybe he is reasonable, maybe he protects his shortcomings, maybe he is someone who likes to show that thing in front of different women. Li Xingguo inherited his father's kung fu, and now he can draw a tie with Li Yang, so he dared to challenge after Lin Feng defeated the two coaches. None of the insiders of Jinwu Center was Li Xingguo's opponent. Xingguo also believed that Lin Feng would not be his opponent. As soon as Lin Feng and Li Xingguo entered the ring, cheers and roars erupted from the audience. Li Xiao, mighty. Li Xiao, tough. Li Xiao, him. Li Xingguo is not yet the owner of the museum, so the people around him prefer to call him Li Xiao. There are many people in Beijing who are called Xiao Xiao. In fact, there is not much money, but I love it very much. In the eyes of many people, Lin Feng is just a very ordinary person. Maybe he can do some work, but he will never be too sturdy. They think that Li Xingguo defeating Lin Feng is like playing. In less than a minute, Li Xingguo can beat Lin Feng all over the floor to find his teeth. Maybe Lin Feng's teeth will fly down on the ring, maybe Lin Feng's teeth will be swallowed in his stomach. Shang Yuna was very nervous and worried that Lin Feng would be seriously injured. At the same time, she did not want her boyfriend Li Xingguo to lose to Lin Feng. Her mood was very contradictory. There was a layer of sweat on her forehead, and that layer of sweat was very special. Aroma. Without a referee, if you can't get up after falling down, you will lose. In this case, you are most likely to be seriously injured, and it is also very easy to die. Lin Feng, please. Li Xingguo, please. Then I'm welcome. Stop talking nonsense, come on. Lin Feng didn't make a gesture of starting his hands. He was still in the standing position just now. Li Xingguo couldn't tell whether Lin Feng's kung fu was on his fists or his legs. In the battle between masters, prejudgment is very important. The so-called prejudgment is divided into two types. The first is to predict the move immediately before the opponent makes a move, and the second is to predict the opponent's kung fu skills. If you can't see the opponent's kung fu skills, it is very dangerous. If you are not careful, you may give your opponent a chance and suffer a fatal blow. Li Xingguo rushed towards Lin Feng 2 steps forward, punched Lin Feng's chest with his right hand, and hit Lin Feng in the face with his left hand. The speed is fast enough and the angle is difficult enough. It wasn't very hard for Lin Feng to dodge. Li Xingguo's attack did not pose any threat to Lin Feng. When Li Xingguo punched him again, Lin Feng pushed aside his arm and faced his chest. One punch. Li Xingguo wanted to dodge, but he was slow. He took a punch in the chest, let out a muffled cry, and stumbled backward, and Lin Feng kicked Li Xingguo in the face with a kick. Li Xingguo flew out with a scream, and fell on the ring. More than 30 people in the audience sighed for a while. Some people's eyes were widened. I didn't expect that Lin Feng, who looked inconspicuous, could actually beat Li Xingguo. Xingguo is a master of Sanda. They all saw clearly that Lin Feng's speed was one beat faster than Li Xingguo's. Maybe Lin Feng's speed could be even faster. How can that be possible? A boy who looks ordinary to the extreme has such explosive power. Lin Feng's performance exceeded everyone's imagination, and of course Shang Yuna's imagination. In this fashion, Yuna's mood is more entangled than at the beginning. Although Li Xingguo fell, he has not conceded defeat, and the arena is not over yet. There was blood on Li Xingguo's face, and the blood flowed down his face to the ring, but he quickly stood up and leaned towards Lin Feng again. The blood kept dripping, and he began to look for opportunities to attack again. Li Xingguo has already learned the power of Lin Feng, and he has already started to ponder in his heart, what kind of kung fu Lin Feng is practicing, and he is strong enough. Lin Feng's parents will not be fierce men who have fought in advanced black market boxing competitions, right? Li Xingguo had only watched the fight in a senior black market boxing match when he went abroad to play. A mighty kick kicked the opponent's head, and the opponent fell to the ground with a bang. The moment blood spurted out, he died, and then a thunderous explosion erupted in the stands. Shouts and cheers, the excited crowd is full of ugly, some stick out their long tongues, some even take out that thing and play with it. The excited beauties will tear off their chest photos and throw them in the air, and then tear off their and open them. Legs screaming, "Who is going to me?" Someone in the audience shouted again. Li Xiao, mighty. Li Xiao, him. Li Xiao, kill him. Li Xingguo's face kept bleeding. Hearing someone calling him mighty, his heart was very distressed. Lao Tzu was bleeding, and Lao Tzu lost any confidence to win. Is Lao Tzu still a mighty bird? It was very difficult for Li Xingguo to beat Lin Feng, maybe he would be beaten by Lin Feng soon. Li Xingguo raised his leg and kicked towards Lin Feng. At the same time, Lin Feng's leg also kicked out, hitting Li Xingguo's right knee. Li Xingguo fell to his knees on the ring with a scream, and Lin Feng kicked out again. This kick was not in Li Xingguo's face, but in his chest. Li Xingguo flew out again and tried to stand up again. It's not that easy. If Lin Feng kicked Li Xingguo in the face again, it would make him even more sad, and it would be inevitable that he would be broken. You are defeated. I'm not your opponent. Li Xingguo conceded defeat. At this time, several people rushed into the ring. Two of them supported Li Xingguo, while the others surrounded Lin Feng. Just because you still want to trap me, since I won, give me 50,000 yuan and let me go, otherwise, I will let you all fall. Lin Feng showed his domineering and said very sturdy words, which is also what the beauty Shang Yuna did not expect. It seems that Lin Feng is not only sturdy when he does that to a woman's body. Standing on the ring, he can also be sturdy. His fists and his legs are as strong as his. Give him money and let him go, Li Xingguo said. The few people who surrounded Lin Feng dispersed. Lin Feng got 50,000 yuan and left. Walking out of the Jinwu Center, Lin Feng stood on the side road and let out a sigh of relief. He had already won the money. He beat Li Xingguo, but what happened just now was like a person who makes a living by writing online novels. It was a dream, as if life had played a very exciting joke on him. Li Xingguo's face, chest, and right leg were all injured. I am afraid that he will have to rest in bed for more than a week. Shang Yuna and a few others took care of the injured Li Xingguo and returned to the room. Although Lin Feng had already left with 50,000 yuan, Shang Yuna had not yet recovered from panic and shock. Shang Yuna clearly felt that Lin Feng's kung fu was stronger than she imagined a lot, because Lin Feng didn't take much effort to defeat the expert Li Xingguo. The 50,000 yuan that Lin Feng won has already been put into his satchel, and he is very excited to sit in the taxi. If it is a code word, according to his current manuscript fee, if he earns 50,000 yuan, he needs to write more than 1.6 million words. But he just won by kung fu very easily. Lin Feng is a person with firm beliefs. He was not dazzled by the 50,000 yuan he received. His kung fu is very high, but he did not intend to make money by fighting and killing. He likes this. Shang Yuna received a text message from Shang Yunjuan. How is it? Shang Yuna avoided Li Xingguo, who was lying on the bed, and replied, Lin Feng won. Although her sister was already Li Xingguo's boyfriend, Shang Yunjuan still shouted happily, it was great. Shang Yunjuan didn't mean to Li Xingguo at all, and Shang Yuna didn't have any resentment in her heart. It's true that Shang Yuna is Li Xingguo's girlfriend, but she hasn't seen clearly the future of the two of them. Maybe they can really come together, and the possibility of entering the marriage hall is not very high. Lin Feng returned to the partition room, and then he remembered that he should have eaten on the road before coming back. Maybe he was so excited that he even forgot to eat. Lin Feng put the craft paper bag containing 50,000 yuan on the computer table, and began to consider, should he help Wang Wei pay back Sun Yueling's money first or save the 50,000 yuan? If he saves it, he will have more savings, and he will have a great sense of accomplishment. When he doesn't want to write and wants to be lazy, he can open his bank card and look at the number of the deposit, and then his mood may be surging. Peach Youth. Author, Su Kifeng. Chapter 60. Lin Feng finally decided to take out 35,000 from the 50,000 yuan first, and pay back Sun Yueling's money, so that he wouldn't have to worry about this matter in his heart, and let Wang Wei pay him back on a monthly basis in the future. Even if there is an accident, Wang Wei owes his money, not Sun Yueling's money. Lin Feng began to consider again, did he give the money to Sun Yueling or Wang Wei? After thinking about it, I decided to let Wang Wei do it, and explain the situation to Wang Wei by the way. Lin Feng called Wang Wei. At this time, Wang Wei and two female colleagues had left the company and were going to eat. The company took care of lunch, but Wang Wei would often go out to eat. Seeing that the call was from Lin Feng, Wang Wei's mouth showed a bright smile. What are you calling me for? Did you dream of Shen Bingqian? She is my past tense. It's boring to dream of her. I dreamed of you. Last night I dreamed that you were taking a shower. I saw your place, so I called to tell you. You are really skilled, and you are more and more fond of teasing me. Hurry up and tell me if you are looking for me. If you don't tell me, I will hang up. I plan to lend you 35,000 yuan first. You will pay off the unpaid part of your debt to Sun Yueling at one time, and then you will pay it back to me on a monthly basis, Lin Feng said. Where did you get so much money from? Could it be that your royalties have suddenly increased a lot? I'll tell you when we meet. I'll find you at night, Lin Feng said. If you want to find me, come to the company tomorrow at noon. I don't want to see you at night, Wang Wei thought. Don't think I don't know what your kid is thinking, but unfortunately, when you helped me before, when I wanted to give it to you, you pretend to be with me. If you don't get on me, I'm afraid you won't have a chance in the future. Okay, then I'll go to the company to find you at noon tomorrow. Lin Feng thought to himself, it seems that he missed that opportunity, and it's very difficult to play with you again. At this time, Lin Feng's thing is very straight, but he can't do anything about Wang Wei. Lin Feng also thought that if he had the opportunity to do that with Wang Wei in the future, he would definitely use more energy. He would have to make Wang Wei scream, and when he was comfortable, he would hug Wang Wei and talk about his college days and excitement. When the time came, he lifted her leg again and put him on her. We are the best friends, and we are so close that you are willing to let me you. Shang Yunjuan called, and Lin Feng picked it up. Sister Shang, I knew you would call me. I drove past, and it's about to get to your place. Come down now. I see. When Lin Feng went out, he put the 50,000 yuan he won from Li Xingguo in his satchel. 10,000 yuan in the partition room. Lin Feng walked out of the community and saw Shang Yunjuan's Bora car. He opened the door and sat in the passenger seat. Shang Yunjuan looked at Lin Feng's face and smiled charmingly. You are really amazing. I'm afraid Yun Na will shock you. I've shocked her a few times before. At least the 2 times when I helped her get her phone shocked her, but she was still so bad to me that she would taunt me at every turn, Lin Feng said. While driving the car, Shang Yunjuan chatted with Lin Feng. Perhaps Yuna's attitude towards you is a bit harsh, but she is also a very kind person. Maybe she's kind, but she's not very good to me, Lin Feng said. Shang Yunjuan smiled slightly and didn't say anything. Instead, she speeded up the car appropriately, as if she was anxious to do that with Lin Feng. Lin Feng said in his heart, if it wasn't for me being a big thing, and if it wasn't for me making you very comfortable, I'm afraid you wouldn't be so kind to me. There is no love for no reason in this world. Arriving at the 2-bedroom house where Shang Yunjuan and Shang Yuna lived, Lin Feng smelled a very intoxicating smell, including Shang Yunjuan's smell and Shang Yuna's smell. Lin Feng sat on the sofa, then took off the satchel and put it aside. Shang Yunjuan brought tea and said with a smile, you should have eaten, right? I haven't eaten yet. You didn't have a meal on the way back from Jinwu Center? There are several good restaurants near Jinwu Center. I didn't eat, Lin Feng said. I've already eaten it. Forget it. I'll warm up the rice for you, and then scramble some tomatoes and eggs, okay? You can eat anything, Lin Feng said. Shang Yunjuan went to the kitchen to get food, and Lin Feng walked in quickly. Seeing that Shang Yunjuan was scrambled tomatoes and eggs for him, Lin Feng hugged Shang Yunjuan, his tall and straight up against Shang Yunjuan's back. Shang Yunjuan pushed back, trying to make Lin Feng let go of her, but Lin Feng did not let go, but Shang Yunjuan felt Lin Feng's uprightness more clearly. Don't move, I'm cooking. Lin Feng didn't stop, he untied Shang Yunjuan's pants in the kitchen, and put his hand into her and started to fiddle. Don't do this, I'm cooking. Shang Yunjuan shouted hurriedly. At the same time, the shovel in her hand moved faster. The tomatoes and eggs were already cooked, so she shoveled the vegetables into the plate. Seeing that the tomatoes and eggs were all on the plate, there was no need to worry about them getting smashed, so Lin Feng tore off Shang Yunjuan's trousers and rushed into her body with great force. Shang Yunjuan let out a sigh, and then trembled with Lin Feng's strength. Shang Yunjuan held onto the gas stove and gasped and shouted. After the enthusiasm, Lin Feng lifted his trousers and walked out. Shang Yunjuan held onto the gas stove and gasped for a while. Then he lifted his trousers again, and walked out with tomatoes and eggs in his hand. Shang Yunjuan was happy in her heart, but she looked very angry. She pretended to sprinkle tomatoes and eggs on Lin Feng, and said angrily, "Are you crazy? Who asked you to be in the kitchen? Anyway, I'm comfortable, and so are you. Anywhere is a place to do that, as long as there is a place to stay, you can do it," Lin Feng said. "It's really decadent. You are as decadent as I am, and we are decadent together," Lin Feng said in his heart. "After the decadence, my self-motivation is still there." Lin Feng started to eat. Shang Yunjuan was sitting next to him watching TV. She quickly looked at Lin Feng's face again. "You won Li Xingguo's money, but also made him lose face, maybe he will take revenge on you. Through this competition, I felt that Li Xingguo should not take revenge on me. He is indeed a very caring person, but he still has some principles for some people and things." Lin Feng thought to himself, a lascivious man may be very his friends, and a man who is not lewd may only slander others. A man may have various shortcomings, but cannot be regarded as his shortcomings, but lack of responsibility is his fault. Shortcomings. Lin Feng recognizes the man whose red flag does not fall at home and the flags flutter outside, but Lin Feng does not recognize the man who pushes the red flag for the sake of the flag. After Lin Feng finished eating, he went to the bathroom. Shang Yunjuan fantasized about it again. She was wondering if Lin Feng would grab his thing and fiddle with it while it was convenient. Not long after Lin Feng came out of the bathroom, he and Shang Yunjuan went to the bedroom together. After living in the partition room, Lin Feng did not expect that he would still have the opportunity to exert force on the beautiful landlord's body, but now he is exerting force on the beautiful landlord's body. Shang Yuna did not stay with Li Xingguo because he was injured. She left the Jinwu Center and returned home. As soon as she entered the door, she heard a warm voice coming from her sister's bedroom, and she thought, "Lin Feng, you didn't use up all your strength in the ring, and now you're starting to use your strength against my sister again." Lin Feng really tried hard, otherwise it wouldn't make such a loud noise. Shang Yuna didn't know if her sister was also hurt by Lin Feng when she was comfortable. When Lin Feng and Shang Yunjuan came out of the bedroom, they saw that Shang Yuna was sitting on the sofa. Lin Feng thought, "Fortunately I came out after I was dressed, otherwise I would have let you see. If you saw that thing of mine, you would definitely cover your eyes and you would scream in your heart, 'God, what a big thing.' But if I saw your body, I wouldn't cover my eyes and scream, I would hold my breath and appreciate it with my heart, and then I might shout in my heart, 'I'll go, she'll go.'" Shang Yunjuan was somewhat embarrassed. After chatting a few words with Shang Yuna, she went to the bathroom to wash her clothes. Lin Feng sat beside Shang Yuna and said with a smile, Why don't you continue to take care of him? Although he hurt you, he can't die, so I don't need to take care of him all the time. You don't want him to die, so you won't take care of him. You must be very proud of yourself. You beat up Li Xingguo and won 50,000 yuan. Shang Yuna smiled and said, you have won so much money, please treat me well. Right? How about the leopard buffet? As long as you can eat it, I will invite you. I am afraid that when you eat it, you will think that the money was won from your boyfriend. If you can beat him, that's your ability. Feel free to invite me, I can eat it, Shang Yuna said with a smile. Let Li Xingguo hear what you just said, he must be furious. Lin Feng and Shang Yuna chatted for more than half an hour, then left, returned to the partition room, slept for more than an hour, and then began to code. In the evening, Lin Feng also kept typing, and the female neighbor Zhou Qingfang didn't bother her. At this time, Zhou Qingfang wanted to do it, but she came for her period and didn't want to get dirty, so she didn't go to Lin Feng's room. When it was almost noon the next day, Lin Feng took a taxi to Wang Wei's company. He saw Wang Wei dressed in hot clothes, and said with a smile, have you come to work in such hot clothes, are you feeling hot? Didn't you realize that I already had spring when I was in college? My spring has already arrived, and it is spring all year round, but the man in my dreams has not yet integrated into my spring. Am I the man in your dreams? You are not, Wang Wei said. Take a closer look and see if it's true. I've watched you for several years, you really are not. Wang Wei pursed her lips and smiled, walking a little faster. Lin Feng thought to himself, maybe I really am not, but my thing is very big. He smiled and said, it's not that it's not. Actually, I'm not lost at all. I'll find a hotel with a private room. New.